Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear chess friends, welcome to the Jerusalem Masters. My name is Almira Skripchenko, and I will be joined in this studio by Grandmaster Alik Gershon. Alik Bruim Habaim to all of the chess friends. I know that was not the right form to you, but to all of the chess friends.
Absolutely. Bruchim Habaim, Brucha Haba, Almira.
Toda raba. So this is a tournament which is going to feature 12 players, where the best Israeli players are going to take on the legends of the chess world. And I think that this is such a wonderful opportunity, Alik. So we are here in Jerusalem in the historical setting, and the round just started. So this is going to be the rapid event with a time control of 15 minutes plus 5 seconds. And this is only the first stage, Alik, yes? Because we are going to have this tournament as a qualifier.
Exactly. We'll have 11 rounds of a round-robin tournament, followed by semifinals and finals for the top 4 players.
And so this tournament is organized in the Museum of Tolerance. For me, it's simply an architectural jewel. It's a place where anyone can feel at home, and I think that for the first time this place is organizing such a prestigious chess event. And as you can see, it's probably our key game of this round. Vishy Anand, the 5-time world champion, is taking on young Nepomniachtchi, who won the candidates tournament twice, but never made it.
Yes, and obviously, as you said, this is our key game for this round. And we see the Petrov defense from the early moves. Jan wants to play very solidly against Vishy. You want to be solid against Vishy when he has the white pieces.
And at the same time, this line has become very popular, of course, recently, because players are looking for lines which are solid, nevertheless, which give them the chance to sometimes to grab the initiative if the player is over-pushing with the white pieces. But let me remind you what is at stake at this event, because first of all, we have a total guaranteed prize fund of $140,000 with a $55,000 for the winner. But there is also a special contribution from Mr. Igor Tulchinsky, a philanthropist who wanted to celebrate Israeli players. So you have $26,000 of special prizes, and the 3 prizes are going to the top Israeli players in this event, with $12,000 for the first place, $8,000 for the second place, and $6,000 for the third best Israeli player. So they can also qualify, you know, for the first 4.
Absolutely. As if they needed more motivation in this tournament, playing those legends.
So let's have a look at our field, Alik.
That's
I think, of
idea.
course,
Yeah.
we have a few minutes, yes. So who is the top seed in this event? Let me check.
So we have, of course, Arjun Erigaisi is our top seed. He's world number 5 currently. And he's the top seed in the tournament. Followed
and the top Indian players, he's actually ahead, Vishy Anand. Yes?
Exactly, yeah. And it's not very easy to do.
Of course. So we have...
Then we have Vishy, we have, I think
Jan Nepomniachtchi.
And Fedoseev is even, I think, in rapid, he's even higher ranked than Jan.
Yes, please have in mind, of course, that we are using the rapid ranking here in this tournament. Then you have Peter Svidler. Peter Svidler, who is not a rare guest. He is playing already for the 2nd time in Jerusalem Masters. Alik, he won the World Cup. He won the Russian Championship, I think, more than 6-7 times. Yes. It's like I don't think that anyone can actually equal this performance. And here we have the new Russian champion as well. So this is Arseniy Nesterov, who is the young player who actually qualified for this event through the Open tournament together with Evgeny Alekseev. So the organizers actually offered the chance for 2 players to qualify for such a prestigious chess event. And then we have the Israeli squad, so represented by Boruchovsky Avital, Maxim Rodshtein, Ido Gorshtein, Ori Kobo, Yahli Sokolovsky. Yes?
Yes,
I
very,
did it right.
yeah, very young, talented Israeli players. Of course, for them, this is a great opportunity to meet, to play against the world's top and best players. Maybe let's jump. We are already quite deep into the action. Let's see what is going on. So I think Vishy surprised Jan a little bit on move 8 by playing bishop e2. And it squeezed a few moves, a few seconds of thought from Jan. And now you can see that Vishy is almost looks bored at the game, right? He's notoriously an extremely well-prepared player, and even now that he's half retired, you would say, he still manages to surprise the world's best players in the openings.
Yes, Vishy Anand is always very well prepared because he, first of all, he's mentoring the leading Indian players. So, so he needs to be in shape, because nowadays you cannot just say that white is better. The young players will tell you, make a move, Alik. I
Yes.
think that you're aware of this trend,
Unfortunately, I'm well aware of
You
this.
cannot use your authority and just say, it's like, okay, white is slightly better. Okay, so let's check it for the next 20 moves if you will survive. And actually, this move, bishop e2, has become very popular lately because white doesn't want to give this bishop,
Yes.
so it's not a surprise for me. And I think that Jan reacted very well because you need to open the F file.
And exactly, and the idea is that the knight will go and will be well placed on e6 eventually. Trying to jump, as we used to say, a knight on f4 on f5 is worth half a pawn back in the day. And here you can see exactly the prophylactical move by g3, constraining the knight on e6, right? Both pawns are c3 and g3. The knight is constrained, and in turn, the bishop is a bit awkwardly. Black has some problems developing the pieces now. Although g3 might look as a weakening move, but with having the light squared bishop, we are very comfortably, we're not really afraid of weakening those pawns. And Jan just played bishop c5, which comes to free the knight, I think, right? Because along with the pawns, also the bishop on e3 was constraining the knight on e6 a lot, and now Jan is offering to trade those bishops.
Actually, I was looking at this move first, bishop g4, because I thought that, that I will hit the knight on e6, and I will force you to take on e3, but then probably you can. And Vishy goes for bishop c5. But then I actually noticed that you also have this knight e4. Because our team told me that this is a very interesting move, so you don't even have to play bishop g4.
Oh, and this is why actually the evaluation dropped, because knight e4. Look at this. This is
because our team told me that there was an interesting moment here, so I was looking at bishop g4, and then I thought, but maybe knight e4 is even better. Yes, so you're having two bishops.
Getting a very nice positional advantage, and both players seem to overlook
miss this idea. But like, it's not an easy move
Absolutely
to make.
No,
yes.
Because the queen is protected. That's the point. You don't normally look at this because subconsciously that the queen is protected, so these things don't really work. And a move ago, it was protected twice, right? So,
but
as you can see,
this is one of these interesting cases where the knight is overloaded, but the solution is very subtle, yes. Especially in the rapid game. I think that after knight e4 and having this pair of bishops, Vishy would be unstoppable.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate missed opportunity for him, although not necessarily present. It should be also said that bishop takes e3. We have an intermediate move, knight f6 with a check. Black has to recapture, and then we are just an exchange up.
But as you can see, the first round is always a test because, like, let's say when you're waking up, you need 3 hours, I think, in order, to be completely aware of everything that is happening on the board. And like, we only had it like 5 minutes into the game, so it's not easy to tell yourself that your opponent just blundered, but in a very elegant way.
Exactly, and you don't have the time of a normal game, right? You don't have the time to concentrate. You need to react fast.
So Vishy decided to take on c5 and to establish a blockade on the dark squares.
Yeah. It's still a nice edge. Again, this bishop is a little bit, the knight and the bishop are a little bit uncoordinated, and black will have to find a way to consolidate. Maybe we can let Jan think for a while, or actually it's Vishy's turn after rook f8. Queen d2, again, restraining the knight, right? This will be the theme for the next moves, I think. And now maybe even preparing the bishop to go somewhere to the other side at some point.
And queen f3.
Queen f6, putting pressure on the on the file, queen on e3, also protecting the pawn on f2, and keeping some pressure on e6.
Actually had, as usual, a very strange question, for you, Alik, because of course we know that weakening the king is very dangerous here for black, but can black play g5 at some moment? Yes, g5, g4, so it's like, is it a possibility?
I think it is a possibility, but maybe white
first
is
bishop d7, rook e8.
White is pretty much prepared to meet, and maybe even some move like knight e5, not letting you develop your bishop now.
But actually, that's why Vishy played queen e3.
I think
because
so.
g5 was in the area.
I think even queen d2 was preparing this maneuver.
Okay, but this is
very interesting.
too aggressive.
Jan is starting to create counterplay on the queen side, feeling that he needs to activate his pieces, and maybe he wants to solve the problem of the bishop and the rook by just opening for instance, if we play takes, and now we don't really need to develop this bishop anymore because it's not blocking any rooks.
Yes, actually, very often, you're playing, let's say, bishop d7, rook e8, bishop
and then you
c8,
go back again, exactly.
And that's the bishop is on the perfect square, protecting the pawn on b7 when needed. You're absolutely right.
That's an interesting idea by Jan to solve the problems here.
Alex, so this is the clash of the titans. On the other boards, we have Israeli players taking on everyone else in this event. So let's have a look. Maybe
our first seed?
Our first seed, yes.
So we have Yahli Sokolovsky, a very young Israeli player playing against Arjun Erigaisi, also a young player, an Indian young player, but Arjun is already a top elite player in the world. And Yahli is actually pressing pretty nicely.
It was the opening, of course, it was
so
the
Ruy Lopez.
Yes, with so the Steinitz. Yes,
yes.
d6. d6 is
and this is
instead of b5.
Yes. So exactly. So here instead of b5, I think Arjun wants to test to play a more positional understanding game because he wants to obviously try to play for a win even with black.
But it's such a tricky move order because what I wanted to say that normally if you wanted to play the classical Steinitz, you would have played d6 before knight f6. That's what I wanted to show you. And here actually there is a very tricky line. Let's say if you play bishop c6, here, d takes c6 and d4.
Yes.
So black actually has an opportunity, Alik, to play here f6, what I wanted to tell you. And this line is very interesting. One of those which you shouldn't do at home, yes, if you're not alone, but you should study, understand the nuances. But it's a very interesting possibility. However, here we have knight f6 first and then d6. So I was actually thinking...
So maybe now you're suggesting it could be possible, yeah?
It's always possible, actually, yes, to play this move and to change the structure. It depends what is the position you want to play, of course. But here maybe... simply take, and then with the knight on f6, you can, after knight d4, what do you think?
Knight d4 and some c5.
Yes, and then bishop b7.
Yeah,
Yes, you're not in time, because with the knight on f6, attacking the pawn on e4. So maybe that was a small, slight difference, so that's why, of course, Yahli went for the main line here, and black wants to develop the bishop on g7.
h3, a very common idea, right, to restrain the bishop from going to g4, knight going to g4. And actually...
What I wanted to tell you, Alik, that this is a type of opening. It's double-edged, of course, and it joins exactly the discussion that we have before starting the broadcast. You accept to be slightly worse, but all your pieces are on the board. The center is not defined yet, so the tension is there. So it means that Arjun is also playing for a win with the black pieces.
Absolutely think so, yes, because also he feels that he needs to, he's a much higher rated player, and he needs to start pushing, but as you said, it has its drawbacks, right? You can overpress sometimes, and Yahli is a strong enough player to punish if you overpush. So
that's good to know. Yes, yeah, have a look. Five is on the board.
Is on the board. And let's see. So the immediate. It feels like white should be well prepared to meet this move.
So let's maybe mention that the rook on e1 is perfectly placed against the queen on e8. But why black puts the queen on e8? Because he wants to take with the pawn on f5 and protect the knight on h5. So in a way, if you want to have this plan, you are almost forced to put the queen on e8.
Otherwise, you would get into tactics like knight e5 and queen takes h5. But here the knight is protected, so this is impossible. But then again, it feels like something like this, because the pawn on c7 is a bit awkward now. How do you protect it?
Well, maybe you have to come back, yes, or maybe you don't. Maybe you push e4 here.
So, for instance, if you push e4...
Then maybe knight h4.
So I have two ideas, right? I can even maybe still
grab
the pawn.
You want to
g6. To go to g6, yes. But now I have knight h4 maybe.
Tempo, yes, so
and and you don't have queen g5, and you're basically going to lose some material here. Let's see, but Yahli did not take... let's go back to the game. He played knight d5 immediately, which is also probably not so bad. Although I wouldn't want to allow black to take on e4 somehow. Let's think. Do we have this intermediate move? But now, for instance, if you recapture...
f7 is a better square.
Now I can even take maybe on h3, right? And this is hanging. This is getting out of hand very fast.
But then if we use the retro analysis, if we come to our previous line, so if you have this...
Could be the same, yes?
Yes, this prophylactic defense. So maybe take knight d5, and maybe then you can play queen f7.
Yeah, but you don't have bishop h3
Yes,
now.
but so maybe we should do something here, yes?
Push.
Because queen g6 doesn't work, so maybe e4 here.
Yes, e4.
And you don't have knight d5. Where is your knight going? You will have bishop b3 probably, yes?
Yes, I will. The question is, maybe I want to throw it in now.
Yes, you should start with bishop.
And if you go here, then knight d5 is a very strong tempo, yes?
So I like your line. Yes, it's maybe a more precise way to put pressure on black here.
But it seems that knight d5 also puts pressure, because Arjun has been thinking for quite a few minutes already, and he hasn't come up with a plan.
But then let's have a look at your continuation.
So we say we take, yes?
But it's the first try, yes?
That's the first
knight
try.
c7 first.
Knight c7, yes.
Knight
so
c7.
Let's go back, and now we go here. I think we have to recapture. Bishop h3. Which is actually, maybe we don't have to do it, but that's what they taught us, right? We need to start with
And the knight on h5 might come into play, of course. With
Yeah,
knight
and if we
f4
take, I feel that maybe, although the bar says that white is fantastically placed here.
It's good that I don't see anything in the
Yeah,
sense
that's
like
good,
it's
yeah.
the bar is too far. So like I'm not scared at all. So I'm thinking, okay, but then bishop g6 is very dubious. What do you think?
Yeah,
Then maybe the knight is
very
jumping.
afraid.
Yes, knight
I would be very
f4.
afraid with white. I would definitely not think that white is so much better. And actually, the bar says that, yeah, bishop g6 is a bad move, right? So
Okay, so the thing is, it's a mess. I think this should be the official evaluation of the position. We don't need to look at the bar. I think that this is what Arjun is trying to get.
And he actually Arjun decided to go on defensive.
What did
But
he play?
let's just finish this variation. So the bar the computer says it's winning because of knight h4, a very concrete way. We're
yes,
attacking
very
on g6, we're just winning an exchange because
No.
knight f4, we just take it, and then doesn't matter how you recapture, we still win an exchange.
Maybe you still have knight d7, but then you simply take on g6 and take on h5.
And this is
yes.
exactly, yeah, right.
Okay.
It should be said as well. Then this is all of a sudden black's king is much worse than white's.
Alik,
But let's see. Yeah.
Yes, maybe let's move to the game because I'm having
Okay,
this
let's
bird's
jump.
eye view, and there is a very interesting position in the game between Vladimir Fedoseev, who is, I think, is a reigning rapid European champion, and he's playing against the recently crowned Russian champion Arseniy Nesterov. And look at this! There was the bishop on g6, the king had to move to g8. So
This
what
is
was
a
the
very
opening?
quiet Carlsbad.
Yes, and how did
And
we
it
get
just
there?
exploded all of a sudden. Black went into c5, which makes sense because white spent quite a few tempos in the center. The king is still in the center, and it makes sense to play c5, which was played by Nesterov. And look at the... Fedoseev castles, a6, and then dc5, bishop c5, and knight f7. And by the look of the time, it looks like it was found on the board by Fedoseev. It's not kind of
Fedoseev still has
preparation.
9 minutes.
And now knight takes d5. Wow. So the idea is that the queen cannot recapture because of bishop c4.
And if knight d5, then
the bishop is hanging, and if knight d5, then
That's
bishop
what
g6. I
happened,
think that's
yes.
what happened. Now bishop takes e8, and we are recapturing the bishop on c5 at the end. For instance, if black takes the queen with the queen, and we have 2 rooks and 2 pawns for 2 pieces, which is good material for white, and which is, I think, what's more important is that black has a very weakened king.
but as I can see on our screens, we have bishop e8, and there was another move.
Yeah, bishop d6 was
Bishop
played
d6
by
was played.
Arseniy, and it's
So he wanted
definitely-
actually to keep the pair of bishops
Yeah, well,
and to
makes sense,
to fight.
right?
Yes.
Makes sense to keep the pair of bishops because 2 bishops, especially in such a position, they are extremely strong. But then, with such weakened light squares, you might be worried to leave the white bishop alive.
To be honest, I think that he wants to play like in the previous game, bishop h3.
Probably.
And maybe bishop, queen g5, queen e5, or queen h4. I don't know.
Let's check. How can we? So my first intention is to play something like this, but maybe it's not such a good idea
So let's
because,
try.
as you said,
Yes, let's try
bishop
to play bishop
takes
a4,
h3. This is interesting.
bishop h3, but probably you
Do
will
we
have
take?
f4 then.
Just take, yes.
And
Now
queen
you
g5,
check,
simply
king
king
h1,
h1.
queen h4, and f4, very important. Actually, the computer is not
He's not,
as happy
he's
as it
not agreeing with us.
used to be
yes.
before, but still winning.
So queen h3 then maybe.
Queen
yes.
h3,
Queen h2.
h2. But so
And
maybe
then
you
queen-
pick up many pawns, but then you're
You
just
will
an
have
exchange
bishop.
down, yes? But look what Fedoseev did. Fedoseev actually played queen e4, keeping the bishop. But actually now maybe bishop a4 is already even stronger.
But wait,
and we are
knight
attacking
f6?
the knight. Yeah, that was my problem with this move, but probably he wants just to play pawn
Okay,
c4.
but now king h8, and
King h8,
Arseniy plays knight f6 almost
oh, this
instantly.
is
Yes, so
on
this
the
is
board.
the line.
Bishop g6 will be played, yes.
But here I feel that your pieces are
a bit
yes, a bit
discoordinated,
awkwardly placed, because even though that now you have those two rooks and 2 pawns, yes, now I think that Arseniy can develop a
Queen
strong
e7.
initiative, or even finish the development and play bishop b6.
And the computer agrees with you, actually. Queen e7, and now queen e5 and bishop e6. Both look very interesting, yes?
And look at this bishop on g6, actually. It's completely out of play.
So maybe our idea to put it on the other diagonal was a bit better even, yes?
And the thing is, like with the bishop on g6, you actually want to swap the queens off the board. Then the bishop is playing a very important role cutting the black's kings in the end game, and then the white rooks are going to invade.
All kind of mates
yes, of
on
course.
the back rank.
But
yeah?
with the queens on the board, it's not the same story.
And the two bishops will be very strong. So queen e5 is a threat, is a very serious threat now, because you will not have f4 because this is hanging.
So you need to protect the pawn, yes, on e3. Let's say you play rook e1. And
yeah, but this is such an ugly move. I mean,
unfortunately, sometimes they are necessary. And then if queen e5, then f4.
Then we can meet it with f4 and we are happy, right? Or happier at least.
But maybe simply bishop e6.
Yes.
Maybe you don't need to lose the tempo with queen e5.
And now, yeah, I would even take black, I think, here, yeah.
And look at Vladimir Fedoseev, you know.
And this is not how he
He's
envisioned it,
puzzled, yes. I think that he understands that it's one of those critical moments, even though that he is not lost, maybe slightly worse, but where the tables are turned and he needs to start defending, yes. Find a way, you know, to neutralize black's initiative. Like,
absolutely. And only he does have some time advantage, but black's play is much more natural here. It's much easier to play.
So let's have a look at our next game before everyone is going to be in the time trouble, and I have the feeling that they're already in the time trouble.
We have our
Evgeny Alekseev
against Ido Gorshtein. Alekseev, as we said, he qualified from the Open tournament. He played very well. Also with the Arseniy Nesterov, they both played extremely well from the very beginning. And now?
It was a very solid line from the Caro-Kann defense where white took on d5.
Which turned into a French...
It turned into sort of London, you know, structure, yes. With the queen on b3, so the majority, white's majority on the queen side, and here black doesn't often have a chance to push b5 and a5, because one of the ideas for white here is actually to stop it and to play a4.
a4 by himself, but he didn't do
But he actually, I think that black managed everything. Here.
It looks like Ido really outplayed.
I think that here a4 was necessary. What do you think, Alik?
Yeah,
because
I absolutely
agree. It's a thematic move, and then the position is rather balanced.
Yeah, then he probably didn't want to allow knight a5 c4, but then
it happened anyway.
It happened anyway with the much enforced, right, with the b5, and now black really has all the initiative in this game.
And now you played b5 and a5, and so this minority attack, which we talked about, but the computer showed us that after a4 it's not that easy to realize it. Now black has everything. So absolutely. I think black is simply better here. Yeah. What do you think?
Definitely, I take black here, and here. Oh, look at this! This is a very nice positional solution.
Okay, I don't know. I will look at this screen, you know, which is much bigger.
Ido went for a very nice positional solution. He sacrifices a pawn, but he's claiming that this piece is much better than this one, especially if I play something like a4. So this pawn on c3 really makes no difference in this game. But the knight is much better placed, at least aesthetically. I'm not sure if it's enough for an advantage or anything, but at least aesthetically, I would argue that this is a very, very nice.
That's what I wanted to say, that I wanted to disagree a little bit, because I thought that this is such a nice strategic idea, of course. But maybe with the, like if White will manage to play bishop before, then somehow rook e2, rook e1, and then bring the bishop on c1. This is going to be maybe anyone's game, but very close to the draw.
Yeah, I agree. But just as an illustration for a positional sacrifice, I think this is very interesting. And interestingly enough, Evgeny chose not to give up the light square bishop. And he is.
But here I actually think that Black's knights are simply stronger.
Yeah.
Yes. Then this is another perfect example. We have a lot of instructive examples today. That here, this is one of those positions where the knights are actually dominating the bishops.
Yes.
You have no time to sacrifice on h6. That's your only idea.
And because of this very long pawn chain, right, which restricts the bishops so strongly. And yeah, it looks like Black is
And
first.
actually, White probably was forced to take on before, because Black's idea would be simply to take on a3 and to win a pawn, of course. Okay, so I can see that Maxim Rodshtein is only down to 1 minute against Peter Svidler.
Yes,
let's have
Peter
a look.
Svidler, our last year's winner of this tournament, of this very Jerusalem Masters 2024. Which is turning into a traditional tournament already.
Yes, I hope.
Little by little.
Starting from which number it is a traditional event?
For me, 2 is enough.
Okay, so this is a second time. Knight h4. I know that Maxim is a very aggressive player when he gets a chance. And here we are, knight h4. And I actually think that Peter is still sleeping a little bit, because he is slightly worse with White. And what to do here? If you take knight h4, then queen h4, the queen comes closer to the king.
Look, in all the games we have this theme, right, of the bishop and the queen trying to create mating attacks.
And the biggest problem here for White is actually if you take on e6, then rook e6 comes with the tempo, and then you transfer it to g6.
But maybe we can continue now.
What do you
Still,
think?
yeah,
Yes.
still
h3,
very.
and then I also protect on
And
c6.
the rook is extremely strong on the 6. Yeah, so we will not help Black, probably.
Knight d2, I think, is a very good move, yes, to bring it to the
keeping
defense.
the knight, this is very strong. And now we want maybe to take a knight f3, play by ourselves, maybe even then swap the queen. So for instance, if we...
But we have a few moves already, so let's have a look. Bishop c4. It's a
c4,
different pace already. Now we are already at the pace of a blitz game, because
less analyzing and just let's move more to watching the players. Yes.
So knight f3 maybe.
Knight f3 we take on
Knight
f3.
f3, and then maybe it's more or less fine. Yes.
Yeah, we want to play rook d1 in d5. Yes, and if we manage to do
And
that.
Maxim decided to keep
Knight
the knight on the
f5.
board, and actually. I like this idea because he is targeting the pawn on e3, but Peter immediately replied by playing e4, you know, so
and now this doesn't work because
yes.
we have enough protection to keep the pawn, to keep the knight alive.
So if this doesn't work,
then we will play e5, knight e4.
Okay,
and
we need
will
maybe
be
to
happy.
play knight d6 here. What do you think?
Yeah, but we will
And
go
queen.
away. Queen, maybe
Queen
even
where?
b3 doesn't work. Queen. d3 maybe?
Maybe
I
d3,
don't like
yes,
it so
maybe
much,
d3.
but maybe this is the move. Knight d6 on the board. Maxim just played, and we are down to 20. Maxim is on 20 seconds and Peter on 41.
Alec, one last glance. So this is the
yes.
game we haven't covered yet.
Ori Kobo
against
to Israelis, Avital
Boruchovsky.
Boruchovsky, and Ori is slightly worse according to the computer.
But
Black
it
is
seems-
pressing a little bit.
Yeah, it seems that Avital managed to play the thematical b5, yes, and then to fix the a3, the a2 and b3 pawn structure. It will be very useful in the opening, in the endgame.
Also in the
yes, in
opening,
the
but-
opening. and,
But,
and getting the outpost on c3.
exactly, and basically white has it's basically a pawn down because this pawn, single pawn on b4 dominates both white pawns.
And as we've seen in many classical games, very often those games can be won only by controlling the c
The
file.
c-file,
Yes.
yes, and Avital is claiming control
He's
over it.
grabbing the control of the c file. And what about Vishy Anand
Let's
and
go
Jan
back to our
Nepomniachtchi?
main game. Oh, looks like what is going on?
Is it
Is
a
it
draw?
a draw?
Yes,
Yes, it looks
we
like a
managed,
draw.
yes, to catch
Because
this game.
if both sides are threatening mates, but white is first, so black really needs, and they agreed to draw after repetition, and they're discussing, but we can jump back to,
Of course, to
let's jump to Erigaisi against Sokolovsky.
12 seconds, it seems.
And looks like Arjun managed to outplay Yahli a little bit. 12 seconds to white, 25 to black. So this pawn on e3 is extremely unpleasant to handle for white. Bishop e5 is a good idea to block the e file for a while.
Yes, but
We
rook
exchange
g1,
one
maybe
rook,
rook g8.
Exchange and rook. So you want to exchange the rooks? I would actually think to
No,
start
I thought that
pressing
if
rook
king
f8.
g1,
Ah.
no, of course. If king g1, then rook g8, but rook
Keep
g1
some
is,
pressure,
of
rook
course,
f8 on the board,
is
yes.
a very good move. And then maybe knight g6. Yes,
Yes,
if needed,
exactly.
if
And we
needed.
can go knight to f4, to h4, keep the pressure.
And knight c5 was actually played. I wanted to underline that, of course, this position is much worse for white, but why? Because black's pieces are more active. So this knight on b3 was out of place, so he decided to activate it. Of course, knight c5, attacking on b7.
But it costs him. Oh, and knight d7, very nice counter chance. So we are threatening knight f6 with a very annoying check. But Arjun is just very calmly sacking the exchange. Rook takes, bishop takes, and knight f5, preventing the bishop from defending, and bishop d2 is very difficult to protect. And the tactical justification here was that rook e1 is met by bishop d2, and knight g3 check is winning.
Okay, so
Arjun is winning, obviously.
Yes, Alik, I just got the message,
Yep.
so let's have a look at the game of Peter Svidler, because a lot has changed, like in 1 minute. So let's have a look. So it seems that Peter is much
cruising
better
to
here.
win.
Yes.
What happened here? So how did he? Oh, look at this.
Let's have
Knight f6, knight f5, knight f6. It just won an exchange because this is a checkmate. So those knights, just as we predicted, after e5.
But what a beautiful way to coordinate his pieces, because
Yes.
Peter managed to play e4, e5,
e4, a5,
and then
not
knight
with the help,
e4.
not without the help by black, obviously, but with the knight on e4, the tables really turned.
And with a few seconds on the clock, it's absolutely impossible to play against those knights. Yes, sir.
Yeah, look at this, very beautiful. But Maxim is still putting up a fight. So our current position is this. So white still needs to be careful a little bit to convert. It's a technical win, and especially given that we are having a 5 seconds increment, this should be no problem for Peter to. And
Peter decided to play 6, but you know, actually I was thinking why not d5, but Peter decided to go for a very concrete line.
Very concrete way, yeah, very well done. And actually, I was asked before the tournament, and maybe we can do this again between the rounds. And we can see that Ido Gorshtein did beat Evgeny Alekseev.
So very well played.
Yeah, it was a very positional.
And what a way to start the tournament with the win with the black pieces in a tournament where it's not easy to win one game, you know. So we said that the first game is a test. Let's have a look at the game which we still have.
Our last game. So. Fedoseev managed to, black is a piece up, so black is winning. Actually, Arseniy Nesterov is keeping his great form from the Open completely outplayed. Oh, look at, okay, yeah.
Yes, let's have a
completely
look.
outplayed Fedoseev here. And this is a technically winning position, of course, although there is some obstacles to overcome, but this is really just so winning.
Alik,
Maybe we will see knight and bishop against
No,
king.
you know, I was actually thinking that if there is a miracle, the bishop is of the wrong color. Yes, I was thinking. So if you would remain with the H and the bishop, so maybe that's why Vladimir Fedoseev is
Keeps
playing,
yes.
because this A pawn, it's a passed pawn which will drive your knight away, because you need actually maybe to sacrifice the knight at some point. So maybe there is a small practical chance. Who knows? The bishop on d4 for the moment, of course, is controlling the a7 square. But I wanted to ask you, Alik, you know, it's like playing the Grand Slam and you're coming from the qualifier, you know. Playing all those matches is terrifying, is very difficult. So are you exhausted or are you motivated, as we can see here?
I think you're more motivated.
And you played so many matches, you qualified for such a unique event. So Arseniy Nesterov is simply, you know, continuing as a juggernaut. Yes, of course.
And again, it should be said, he's a Russian champion from 2 months ago. So it's not new to him to be on this very high stage and to perform well. And now he's just going to break through with g6, unstoppable, and h5. And I think we will...
Maybe we will have a knight and a bishop.
I don't even think it's possible, because the knight will just block... he's not even exchanging the pawn. He will just grab the pawn on g4.
Yes, knight e5 and knight g4.
Win, I think.
Yes, because he will actually sacrifice the bishop, of course, for the a pawn, and this is...
And this is
it.
Completely
yes.
Hopeless for white. Because either you can try to play g5, but even this, the pawn just runs, and really nothing to do. And
king f7.
Fedoseev tries to come from behind. But even maybe just h5, h4.
Yes, the knight on g4 is blocking the diagonal. But then bishop b7. Let's say maybe I will create a few practical problems. You need to play, yes, knight h2 and knight f3. Yes. Or knight g2.
Knight g2. So yes. And something like this. Yeah, we might get it. Oh, this is actually what happened, yes? This is actually what happened.
Maybe we can
knight e5 check and knight f3.
Yes.
This is the easy way to do it, yeah. And resignation by Fedoseev. Fedoseev is one of the favorites to win this event, actually, and not a very inspiring loss for him in the first round.
Maybe let's remind our audience, if you are joining us only at this very moment, this is a 12-player round-robin event where this event is just the first stage, and the top 4 players will qualify for the semifinals and the finals. So $55,000 for the winner of this event. The overall prize fund is being $140,000. So it's a very prestigious chess event organized in Jerusalem. In this historical city, you know, it's like I'm always flooded with so many emotions, Alik, and in an architectural jewel, the Museum of Tolerance, and I hope that everyone feels that here you feel at home, and chess is the universal language.
Absolutely, yeah.
Alik, do we have a few seconds before the second round starts? Let me check, yes, with our team.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of seconds. And by the way, I wanted to say that you said that about the prize fund, and the tournament is organized by the Israeli Chess Federation with the great support of the Ministry of Sport and the Jerusalem municipality.
Yes.
And you asked me before if this is a traditional event, if it is going to be traditional. So the Minister of Sport just promised us to double the prize funds for the next year and to have another one.
So this is almost an official,
almost as
like
official as it can
announcement,
be.
yes?
Yes.
Okay, so this tournament is going to be traditional, and we have so many chess legends present in Jerusalem: Vishy Anand, Arjun Erigaisi, Nepomniachtchi, Peter Svidler, Vladimir Fedoseev. We need to find a weak link in this event.
There is none, and this is what makes the tournament so interesting.
Okay, so let's have a look at the standings after the first round. So how many wins do we have so far? I think that we have 4 players that started with a win: Arjun Erigaisi, Peter Svidler, Arseniy Nesterov, and Ido Gorshtein. How many of those with the black pieces? Yes,
3 of them were
wins
with the black pieces. So this is an extremely.
I think it will be a very close event, knowing that only 4 players, the top 4, are qualifying for the next stage. Every game counts.
Absolutely.
And I think that Arseniy Nesterov has a huge advantage, also Evgeny Alekseev, because they've qualified from the Open. So the 2 players have qualified for this event from the Open. And I was thinking, actually, because yesterday I was reading about this, you actually have the Nesterov accelerated some factor, so I was trying to understand that it's in programming because you're trying to improve the algorithm. So I'm thinking that actually Arseniy is sort of this acceleration.
And psychologically, they're in an extremely good position, right? They already had a good tournament, so this journey is already good for them. And now they start, for Arseniy, of course, he keeps playing so well. And he also in the Open, he was leading from the very beginning, from the very first round. He was leading all the rounds through the last game. So maybe we have a very serious contender. Yes.
It's like, in French, we have this expression, le trouble fait, so the one who invites himself to the party. Yes, so the party crasher. Yes, I think the most appropriate analogy would be.
Okay, so let's call
Arseniy has invited himself to the party, and, he's not going to be just a participant, of course. I wanted to say that in this event we also have a special initiative from Igor Tulchinsky, who decided to celebrate Israeli players and has awarded $26,000 of special dollars of special prizes, which will go to the top 3 Israeli players. And I think that this is, of course, a wonderful initiative because if we compare it to a party, everyone has to come home feeling celebrated and encouraged, to do better next year.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a great, very great gesture and initiative for the local players.
So let's have a look. Do we have the pairings for the next round? I actually have the chess results here.
Yeah, so we are going to have, for the next round, we're going to have Arjun Erigaisi playing Nepomniachtchi, which is very interesting. Avital Boruchovsky
yes.
Is going to face Vishy Anand, Maxim Rodshtein in Israeli derby against Ori Kobo, Ido Gorshtein against Peter Svidler, 2 winners of the first round. Evgeny Nesterov and Evgeny Alekseev will see who is the better shaped player from the Open event. And Yahli Sokolovsky will play against Vladimir Fedoseev, 2 losers of the first round.
Alik, I think that we are going to have a short break. By the way, we have a lot of live spectators. I wanted also to greet our audience if you're watching from all over the world. Today we are going to have 3 rounds. So we will be back after a short break and a lot of kids also around here. So see you in a bit. Dear chess friends, welcome back. Alik, what an exciting first round. We had a lot of games and 3 wins with black. By the way, Jerusalem Masters has its own specificity, Alik, because this round robin, where 12 players are facing each other, is only a qualifier. Yes, so it doesn't matter how many world championship did you win or how many Russian championship did you win, you still have to qualify for the first 4.
Absolutely, yeah. But this also means that even if you lose a game in the beginning,
yes,
everything
of
is still open.
Anything is still possible. We have a lot of contenders for the top 4 places. Let me remind you, before the round starts, yes, because now we have a few minutes left. Let's have a look at the players. That the second round is going to feature Arjun Erigaisi against Jan Nepomniachtchi. It will be our key match for this round. Then we have Boruchovsky Avital, who is facing the 5-time world champion Vishy Anand. Alik, how do you approach those games from the psychological perspective?
Yeah, this is a tough one.
You sit on the board,
First of all, you sit on the board. Second of all, you convince yourself that only he has something to lose. You don't have anything to lose. And you just play your best chess you can. And you want to... Basically, psychologically, you are on the upper hand.
Yes, because they have nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
Yes, so. And with the white pieces. Then Maxim Rodshtein is playing his fellow compatriot Ori Kobo. Then Ido Gorshtein is taking on another legend, Peter Svidler. Arseniy Nesterov, as you've said, is testing Evgeny Alekseev. Arseniy just won against Vladimir Fedoseev. And you know, Alik, I actually had a small talk with Vladimir during the break, and he actually confirmed that he was actually hoping to change queens, but it was not possible. You remember I told you this, like it was a possibility, but Arseniy played the perfect game from this point, and Yahli Sokolovsky against Vladimir Fedoseev. So let's concentrate maybe on our key matchup for this round, and of course, maybe let's give an overview of every game a bit quicker.
Yeah, let's do it short overview. So we start with the Arjun against Jan. We have a Nimtso Indian which transferred into
Queen's Gambit,
with Bishop F4, the kind of the London, and then nothing much to say, although H3 G4, yeah, this is becoming quite fashionable in recent years. White is trying to grab some space advantage on the king side, and not really worried about weakening the pawns here because, or the whole structure here, because we have a grip on this queen side, on the king side, with the knight on e5, where we have nothing to worry about too much.
The thing is, yes, what I wanted to add is that h3, of course, is not a useful move here, because normally you play h3 and e3 with the idea of bishop h2.
Exactly, yeah.
But here, g4 started to be very
something
popular,
very different. Yes, something very concrete and different. And okay, we shall see what develops here. Let's jump to
because normally black wants to play knight e4. Yes, if you can jump there, and if you can take with the bishop on e4, so maybe Jan should play knight e4. What do you think?
Yeah.
Is it an option, or like, because knight d7. So what I wanted to say is just, of course,
maybe he didn't want to allow knight e5 right away.
Knight e5 as well. Then knight d7, of course, is a very
tricky,
useful move. And maybe one last word that, of course, castling short is a bit dangerous here, especially when you played g4, and so then maybe Jan wants to castle long. What do you think here?
Yeah, it would be a possibility.
Maybe castle. I don't know. Like, I would be worried here.
Or maybe not castle at all yet. Yeah, just wait. But you need to make a move now.
Yes, but after knight h4, maybe bishop g2 and e4 will be also a very interesting plan.
I think we will castle eventually short, and
Okay, so maybe let's
let them
at
think.
a different pace. Yes.
Let's go Boruchovsky against Anand.
And Avital has chosen a c3 line against
This is very
Sicilian.
tricky.
So
Very
I actually played this line a few times myself. Vishy Anand has chosen the variation with d6
Yes.
and bishop b7, castle, castle. I also wanted to point out that Avital played bishop d3 and not bishop c4.
Yes.
It's actually a very interesting way to play, because here you can play bishop g4, bishop c4 and take on d5. And let's say if you want to make a draw, you can make it even against Vishy Anand. However, Vishy also knows that this position is equal. So
Yes.
even if you take on d5, bishop d3 preserves a lot of attacking options, and that's a difference.
Which suits Avital's style a lot. He's a very active, aggressive player. And I don't think he's ready to change that even for Vishy. So
And actually, d takes e5 was played. I think that the idea is to play a very well-known line with knight c3, actually.
knight c3.
Yes, and d takes e5. So normally black plays knight c3, bishop c3. And I know that white can establish a very nice grip here, even if you protect the pawn and then you play knight d4 and queen h5 or queen g4. So that's why the idea.
We need to probably. We cannot.
No,
we
you can,
would like
yes,
to exchange,
you
but
cannot
this.
play this. No. This is very
blunder.
dangerous. So, and you see, Vishy is going for.
He's going for, and then
So here I'm wondering, will he play queen c7, queen a5? Queen a5 is one of the most popular moves, or bishop d7. And he goes for bishop d7. Yes, there are three alternatives, but I think that bishop d7 was tried many times already, because your idea is actually to play bishop c6 and knight d7, where the knight will be able to come to f8 sometimes.
And are we in time for this? For instance,
we
if we
need
play
to
knight
find
d4?
out. Okay, after knight d4, maybe you should switch to another
happens?
plan, because I was thinking maybe now knight c6. Because if you allow me, yes, to play and then to take bishop c6. But you see, Avital plays queen e2, and I think now maybe
e2.
bishop c6. Let's see. Because I think that the
Queen
idea
e2, the
after
queen e4 is a threat,
Yes,
so we have to meet it somehow. And if we play bishop c6 and rook d1,
I still know a few ideas. Yes, so you have to play bishop c6 here, and after rook d1, then you play knight d7. So you see, this
and
is the
you're
setup.
right.
So if
yeah,
the
right
knight
in
is on
time.
d4, then knight c6. So, those are the subtleties of this opening, but without knowing them, you cannot equalize.
Yeah.
You need to have a small chance for a counterplay. Otherwise, white is constantly pressuring you, of course.
But it has to be said that the long term, black really counts on this weakness for the. So black's goal would be, or dream would be to go into some endgame and start pressing the pawn on c3.
Yes, as you can see, we have those pawn islands. Yes, a2, c3, and we always use those factors to evaluate the position. Yes, and while the white still has the queen on the board, this is more of a strength, because the c3 pawn is supporting the knight on d4. You know, it's a very important outpost. And if you manage to trade the queens, then all the endgames are going to be better for.
It's like
black.
with the
It's like-
isolated pawns,
Exactly.
the positions, absolutely.
And we have a
Rook
move,
d1 was
rook
played, yes.
d1, and we were suggesting knight d7. So we are still in the opening stage, and I think, look at Vishy.
he's
I think
completely
he knows.
unimpressed by
Yes,
white's
he
threat.
knows everything.
Yes.
So this is what it feels like playing against Vishy Anand. It's like playing against God, you know, and you still have to make a few moves.
You know, it was. I was playing some open in Antwerp. I think I was a 14-year-old young, promising player, And in this tournament, Viktor Korchnoi was playing, and Yohanan Afeg, who was our chief of our delegation, he came and told me, like, well, you see this man.
Very famous problemist.
Yes.
He had such a love for
You see this man, he already forgot things you'll never learn. You know, so. So this is basically what you feel when you're playing against Vishy.
So let's move to our next game. Maxim Rodshtein with the white pieces against Ori Kobo. Oh, this is that was an English opening, and more or less symmetrical.
Rush through the moves.
Beginning,
very common ways to do. White manages to exchange the bishop. This is one of the key pieces for black in such positions. This long diagonal, the very strong draconian bishop. But white is very fast to exchange it, although he wastes a lot of time in doing that, and this allows black a little bit to gain some kind of initiative in the beginning, but it's thrown away. Yeah.
Our audience who is less experienced, let's say after bishop h6, bishop takes h6, queen h6, you mentioned that white is losing a lot of tempies here. So what if after knight d4, castle long, yes? So you're getting rid of this knight c2, and I think that here black simply strikes first with b5 and then opening the b file, queen a5, and white is simply not in time.
It's a great illustration.
Yes, I wanted to show why white is forced to play queen d2, lose a few tempies, but then play e3, get rid of the knight on d4, and then continue with the development knight g2.
Absolutely. Actually, and actually after queen d2 and e3, I like the way, so I would be happy with white that I managed to exchange this bishop on g7, because black really puts a lot of hopes on this bishop for potential counterplay.
But look at this position. I think that black just played queen c8 and is mirroring, you know, white's plan. And I think that Ori wants to play bishop h3. So should white play h3?
Yeah, and this is very tricky, because if you play h3, then what do you do next? You really want to castle, but with the pawn having played h3 before castling, you don't really have this option anymore.
But of course, I've seen further, because my intention was to play after castle something like g4.
Aha.
Yes, let's put this variation
on the board. But how
do
you do? So you want to play g4 now?
You castle after h3.
I castle.
I wait for
g4.
you, yes, to castle, and only then when you can play h5.
Okay, but knowing your vicious plan, maybe I can play h5 myself first?
Okay, so you want to start with h5, but then maybe I have another waiting move. I have to find it. But
maybe now you can play something like knight f4?
But here maybe I can play d4 already, yes?
Really?
Maybe I can start something in the center, because you cannot keep your king in the center.
No, I wanted, maybe wrongly so,
yes,
but I wanted to castle.
But now I take e takes, and then I will have queen h6.
If I castle, then you go back, yes?
Maybe.
Claiming that...
And knight f4.
Or maybe now you can even start sacrificing, yes?
Yes, you see, somehow this worked.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
I have to admit it. You just...
Because this is one of those positions, this is a quiet opening, but at some point, one of the sides will be short of useful moves. And I was trying to make this work. So at least this is my classical education. You know, I know that computers will prove me wrong very often, but I think that this could be an interesting idea.
Yeah, absolutely. But look at this. Maxim decides not to play h3. He goes knight d5. And the idea being that, well, now we want to take on f6 and to ruin the center for black. So for instance, if black plays knight bishop h3, then probably we can take. I would even go for something like
knight f4, not allowing
d5,
queen
yes.
g2 first of all,
yeah,
of course.
It has to be said. And
yes,
although it's not much.
It's not much, but it's a better structure for white, a more flexible structure. So it means that when you are going to change it, very often you are going to try to change it in your favor even more. Yes, so, and to have an extra pawn in the center.
Yeah. Okay, so this is, let's go not neglect other players.
Yes, so Ido
Gorshtein
Gorshtein
against Peter Svidler, 2 winners of the first round. And this is...
But with a different trajectory, yes, because I think that Peter struggled somewhat with the white pieces, while Ido won a very interesting positional game. Yes,
Yeah,
where
very
he
convincingly.
deprived his opponent with any counterplay.
Yeah.
It's just like a boa constrictor. And Peter is doing much better in this game because I think that he doesn't have any problems.
No problems at all. And
once again, to
H5,
evaluate this
interesting.
position and why Ido needed to play f3 is this light square bishops. I wanted, you know, I always ask myself this question, what is my worst piece? And I want our audience also to ask this question, especially for white, and the answer is the bishop on h3.
Absolutely.
And when you know that this is your worst piece, you are trying to ask yourself another question is, how are you improving this piece? And you need to break this pawn chain, of course. First you challenge it with f3, and then maybe retrieve your bishop to a more active position.
Yes. And this is absolutely...
Maybe after take-take, maybe Ido can play bishop f1 and bishop d3. Also, there is a possibility. Yes,
Yes, bringing the bishop back into...
Or bishop g2, f4. You know, so now this piece is having a future compared
all of a sudden, yes.
Yes, all of a sudden compared to the position with the powerful center on e4. And f3 is a very good try. So I think that Peter played h4. We see it on our board.
Let's go back to the live. So this is our live game. And Peter, well, having said h5, you probably need to say h4, and it makes a lot of sense. As we have seen in the first game by Nepo, when he activated his rook with a5, here, this is very also thematic way for black.
And how should white react? Because the first thing, you should not be afraid of demons, because if you take on g3 attacking the bishop on h3, the rook on h1 will protect the bishop. So I think that we have a move, and that's what I wanted to say. So maybe Ido still has time to make another move, and he decided to play knight f4.
Knight f4. I wanted to suggest knight f4, but I wasn't sure if we are happy to allow g5.
But then maybe knight d3, knight e5,
knight goes here,
and then
this
opening
black
the big
a bit
diagonal.
overextended.
And you cannot play g4. I can take g on g4. You see, after g5, because let's say the bishop on d4 are attacking. Let's say I will take and maybe I thought
and even take immediately, yes?
No, I thought that maybe knight e5 check
Knight
and
e5
then
check,
take.
yes.
Who knows? Because I think
because
that
the
everything
bishop, the knight is pinned, and we can just take. Let's
here.
just show. Yes, for instance, you go
Yes,
back
this
and
is
just will
completely
take.
lost.
Probably better with the bishop first.
No, so this means.
We had knight g6 even.
Yes, this means that Peter has to be careful. He
Yeah,
needs
not to overpush.
Yes, not to overpush, and of course to finish the development, because look at this bishop on c8 and on the rook on a8 there. He needs to, first of all, to coordinate his rooks, maybe to play bishop c7 and bishop d7, then rook e8 or rook d8. I think that this is more or less balanced, and players still have a lot of time to... However, no, Ido is having 10 minutes on his clock, and Peter is only
less than 7 minutes.
Less than 7 minutes, okay.
Okay, let's jump to Nesterov against Alekseev. This Nesterov is our leader, and he has
one of the leaders.
Huge advantage here.
Why is it like, wait a
According
second.
to the computer, at least, bishop takes d4.
And knight g5.
Looks like
maybe.
a blunder.
But it was played knight g5. Yes, I think that we are
there
behind
is
a few moves.
There is some internet connection here at the venue issues, so we will.
But I think that Arseniy spotted this move, knight g5, because he played
Knight
knight e g5,
yes. Threatening mate.
on
So you have to
h7.
take. And now rook
And now I
takes
think
e6,
he sacrificed.
Yes? Wow.
Yes, on e6. What a beautiful line.
Look at this. He took
Rook e6, queen
rook
f7,
e6,
and rook e7.
Rook e7. This is the board. Bishop d5, and we have the transmission back.
And I think, yes, rook
Yeah,
f7
this
is
is
simply
just
winning.
game over. Wow, this is a beautiful combination by Arseniy, and not an easy one to spot. So in a rapid game.
But to be honest, this idea is always in the air. Let me check. It reminds me one of the games of Hampi Conero, and I think that that was exactly the idea that she mentioned in her analysis, and actually she even won one game. So this, I think that if I will find it in my database, I can show you
Okay.
later, but I'm pretty sure
And
that
resignation on the board.
So-
Knight g5, another second win in a row for Arseniy Nesterov.
And this is what we call a miniature, yes?
Yes.
Only 23 moves was necessary, you know, to defeat Evgeny Alekseev. And yes, we were talking about the Nesterov acceleration. Here we are.
This is
It
this
was
is how it looks.
a concrete proof, yes. So let's
And
move.
so so we have two qualifiers from the Open with such different starts. One with 2 out of 2, and the other with 2 out of 2 but losses, right?
Yes, and that's how the arbiters are putting the kings on the board. If you have never actually visited a chess tournament, in order to mention the white win, the king has to be on e4. And our last game between Yahli Sokolovsky and Vladimir Fedoseev. And let's have a look. Vladimir was
and
struggling.
Vladimir is struggling. He is losing an exchange now.
After bishop e7.
What happened? How did this happen? So,
Not an easy first day for Vladimir Fedoseev.
not at all.
Was
but
it this 4-knight Sicilian or not? Let's make
Oh, he played, so here, he played bishop e6 and he just blundered bishop d3. But what's going, if knight goes, then simply,
maybe no, queen a4. You
then
have
we
bishop
go
b3, yes,
this,
and bishop
and
d6,
here,
and e5 falls.
and e5 falls. So he decided to give up the exchange, but keep the bishop on the knight on c4. But this is trouble. So we just take, and then take on c4 even, yes. So we take, you take on c4, and then d7 falls.
No,
Oh, d7 is not good. d7 is not good.
Why?
So sorry, just
What
we
happens?
just take. Sorry. So just
no, no,
queen
queen,
d7.
the
I
queen
thought,
is not on a5.
Yeah,
no, no,
I thought
because
we
I was
were
looking
exchanging the
actually
queens.
at another line, because I was trying to understand that
But
was,
we can now just play queen e7.
you know, starting from the opening, black gives up this dark square bishop in order to establish this grip on the light squares and to have this powerful knight on d5. So it's sort of like philosophical discussion, because white is trying to prove that the Paris bishop is much better here, and the pawn on d6 is, you know, is somewhere in your throat. Yeah?
Yes.
So if you will manage, you know, to trade a few pieces and have a small but long-lasting advantage, then white is of course better. But black always have a very unusual counterplay here. So I wanted to find out where actually it went wrong, because after, I think that here, after bishop c4, actually c4 was played because Vladimir Fedoseev decided to sacrifice the pawn on c4 and to get it back from d6. So c4, queen d4, attacking castle,
Yes.
and then bishop c4, queen d6. So I think that here the position is already in white's favor.
Slightly so,
Yes,
yes.
because white will always have the possibility to play c4 once again. So
And
maybe this was a bit dubious, but let me have a look. c4, yes, e5, queen h4. This was
Yeah.
exactly like the game proceeded, but then e4,
And
queen.
actually, actually, Fedoseev did play quite well here in this sequence. He managed to create unbalances on both sides. And
But he blundered,
yeah.
however. Yes, maybe just to mention here, I think that in this variation, before we switch to another game, with the knight on b4, when it was here on b4, just a second, knight b4, and after i3, maybe he missed a4, queen, bishop d1. Here, maybe here he had the possibility to play knight d3.
Yeah, but
yes.
then bishop c2.
But then something.
What?
e4.
e4.
I wanted to get to
Okay,
this
maybe we can
bishop,
come back
yes.
to it later, because we've been told that Vishy is
He's
winning.
already winning
Yes, and what...
with the black pieces. Okay,
so
but
what happened here? He just as we said, yeah, if you are not mating, you're just losing the pawn on c3, and Avital had to... now it's not just the pawn, it's even more, because if you go back with the knight,
Knight e2.
there is knight e2 winning, because the game over.
Very well played
And
then.
yeah, so Vishy really showed a lot of class so far, and this is technically such a winning position for Vishy. Although Avital will probably try to put the knight on f6 and will try to muddy the waters a little bit. But with the rook on c4, there's really not much you can do.
Alik, and I think that in this position, because I had a look in the game, Vishy played bishop a4, and Avital has chosen to trade the light square bishops, and I think that, well, if you trade a few minor pieces, of course, it's easier for black to defend and even to attack the c3 pawn. So I think that here maybe...
this was the key moment.
yes,
Yeah.
white...
But how do you keep the pawn?
Maybe rook c1 then.
Rook
you
c1
see,
and
yes.
rook bishop a3 maybe?
Bishop a3, I haven't seen this move.
Or will you sacrifice everything?
Okay, but maybe yes, because I missed this move, but then maybe h4.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
if I'm keeping the bishop
the
on d3, then maybe I should sacrifice it and I play h4,
very
h5.
interesting, actually.
Because I always want to keep this bishop on d3 in order to sacrifice on g6. Yes, so if you play h5, then maybe even g4 is possible.
Yeah, bishop d3 is such a key piece here, and
but I understand that it was not obvious at all. Okay,
bishop
because I missed bishop a3, but then in the spirit of the position, you need to go
you
all
bite
in.
the bullet and
Yes,
go all in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but very well played.
And h5, g5 played by Vishy, and now very... Yeah, I think in these positions, Vishy scores 100 out of 100.
Yes, this is, it's not even a technical win. This is a completely winning position because white cannot even break this pawn chain and played f4, you know, because you wouldn't play something. And to have a perpetual, but it's not possible. Okay, so what, and we have actually our first draw because Arjun Erigaisi and Jan Nepomniachtchi, yes, they decided to repeat a few moves.
A very solid, uneventful. Both players castled long, as you predicted. So eventually.
Actually, I'm also familiar with this structure, by the way, with this h4, g5, g4. And the thing is, it's one of those positions where neither white can improve because you have this active pawn. Yes, you can double on the f-file, but it brings you not much.
Not much.
And black cannot reorganize its pieces because it constantly has to defend against f7 and sometimes even against e4. So the knight on d6 is perfectly placed.
And h5, oftentimes, if the knight leaves e6, h5, h6 is a very strong threat also. So. Yeah, so we might say quite an uneventful game, but well played by both players.
Let me have a look. Ido Gorshtein is actually much worse. Oh, there is such a powerful bishop on g2.
How did it get there? So Peter,
Because Ido, I think, decided to play g4
knight
himself.
f4, bishop e7, bishop c7, bishop g2, knight h5. Very interesting way by Peter to drive the knight away. Now he managed to get all his pieces out, and we jump to the live board. So what do we have here? We have an opposite colored bishop position, but
why can't I take on f3?
I think you can.
So bishop
maybe
f3,
should.
then rook d6, of course, and then simply rook
Rook
f8.
f8
Yes?
we protect, yeah. With
So
which
it
rook?
was
We want this rook,
yes. Right.
And this one will come here.
Yes.
And if you take on b7,
Maybe I should simply play rook e8,
Just rook
sacrifice
e8,
on
and
a7
this
because
is
I want to
coming, yes?
play, yes, rook e2. But then you will have rook d2.
will I?
Yes, let's try rook e1, king c2, bishop
Rook e1,
b4
king
check.
c1 goes.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Let's-
this will survive.
But then rook b8,
Rook b8, king
where?
goes to a3.
Okay, king
Claiming
a3.
I'm fine.
Yes. But still, then I can push f4, f3.
Yeah,
Okay,
also not the best way for white to play.
So we should mention that even though that we have the opposite color bishops on the board, the presence of the rooks
Makes it all
yes,
so
makes
much
it
different.
so much different. And of course, black has, for the moment, a few extra pawns.
3.
Yes.
Although one is doubled, but still 3.
Ah,
is a
3.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Like I was only concentrating on the 2 double pawns, but because we're losing on b7, okay. So
But
like,
so far it's 3. So
yes. Rook d6 is on the board.
really-
Then we have
Let's
another result. Vladimir Fedoseev actually won with the black pieces. What happened? I think we had a huge blunder.
oh
Let's
no!
show it. Yes, this is such a heartbreaking position.
Oh, this is really. So, Yahli wanted to simplify the
yes.
position by forcing the exchange, and he simplified just a little bit too much because there is a very nasty tactic that just. Oh, okay, so let's go back to the playing games. Avital against Vishy, still nothing changed. Black is still winning. Maxim Rodshtein against Ori Kobo. So Maxim is pressing a little bit, and his game looks a bit easier than Black's. Queen d4. Black wants to exchange the queens. I would play something like Queen e2 maybe with h5.
But I like this position very much. It's like whenever I see this h4, g5,
It
f4,
looks very promising.
Yes, it looks, first of all, very dangerous. In the absence of the lights of the dark square bishops, I want to put my knight on g4. That's where it belongs. Yes.
Oh, knight e2. Maybe it started the trip to g4.
Knight c3, knight d1, knight e3, and knight g4. It's a bit
but it's a bit too
yes.
slow. But maybe king h1 g. No, this doesn't.
No. It's
Okay, no knight g4 for now.
But can we
maybe
play
some
f5?
break? Yes, f5
Okay,
or
let's push it. Yes, f5.
f5. Yeah, why not f5?
And here I was thinking that maybe taking on e4 doesn't.
The problem is that we
yes,
have
you can
this
play
intermezzo.
f6,
Yes.
So then you have to take on f5.
And if we have to take on f5, then it's a different story altogether, because then the knight will come. So for instance, I just want to illustrate that even maybe here we don't even take on f5. We want to just start.
Maybe you can play knight g3, knight f5.
And knight g3, yes. Even better than knight
yes,
g4.
maybe this is even better.
This is.
I also wanted to mention that.
Although, Almira, how about this?
And I cannot take.
I have a nasty tactic here, yes, because the rook is pinned, and you don't have a very good way to.
I can play queen
solve
f4,
it.
but I don't want to
You
trade
don't want
queens.
to play. So maybe we should start.
No, but
so
Alik,
maybe
there
we
was
should start
actually a
with this move.
possibility to take on d5 because we just immediately took on.
Okay, but this
F5,
I
but
just
I-
misclicked.
yes.
We should start with this maybe. Yes.
Because maybe e takes d5 also yielded white if you interesting options. So it's a very complicated
Interesting,
position.
yeah.
Yes. So
No.
how here?
Do we want to exchange the bishop? It feels like we do.
No, like if e d5, then I will take e d5. But maybe if g takes e5, then I will take g takes e5. I don't know. Like it's we have to make a choice. Yes, here.
Let's go back to the game. What happened? So b3. He doesn't push yet. Maxim wants to keep the tension a little bit.
And what about their time? Maybe it's also.
They have half a minute each, more or less.
So rook e8 anticipates in f5, so now you can no longer play f5. Yes,
Yeah, queen e3, b6, and he will maybe transfer the queen to h3.
Maybe he wants to play h5.
Maybe.
So knight g3 and h5. Okay, this
But
is
first,
also very
do we want the
interesting.
queen on h3 first?
Can you play knight g3 then?
Now?
Yes. Or maybe h5 first. I want you to take and then knight g3. Let's try h5.
Maxim is very calm. He's not rushing. He plays king h2 first, preparing.
h2.
And this is actually, I like this idea because black needs to be aware of tactical possibilities, and he needs to waste some time getting ready.
Regrouping also, yes.
And Vishy just won. Let's just jump back to the final position. So no surprises here. As we said, he starts chasing the queen, white's queen away, and then just queen d4, hitting both pawns, completely winning for black. Okay, let's jump back to Svidler against Gorshtein.
Yes, we have two games which are still in progress. Oh, but now with only one rook on the board, this position, of
and
course,
bishop e4,
yes,
I think, is coming.
winning.
Yeah. Oh, f4, f4 is even stronger. Yeah, f4 is winning the. Is it winning the bishop? Not yet. No. It's now bishop e4. Rook e4, rook c2 is a threat. And how do you defend?
No, actually, what I wanted to mention is for our viewers is if bishop h4, why Peter played f4, is that we still had, yes, king g4, and this was a very important move to have in your head. Yes,
very,
because
very
otherwise,
yes,
you're losing the bishop, of course.
Absolutely.
And that's why Peter was very confident when he played bishop
and
f3.
He is just taking the pawn. Yeah, not a nice position to defend with white. And look at this. Although the pawn is doubled, but it prevents white from checking.
f3.
And now just simply push the pawn to f2, f1, queening and
yes,
white
this is
basically
completely winning. But I think that we are
crushed.
about to witness.
But this is our last game, so we'll stay with it until the very end. Ido is trying he's trying to pin, but this will not work because bishop f3 check, I think, still.
And f2.
Closing the file, and after bishop f3. So Peter is on 2 out of 2, and is...
Surprisingly, he's not alone. Yes, leading the event.
Not alone, because he has won Arseniy Nesterov with 2 out of 2.
By the way, Alik, I wanted to get back to the end of the game between Maxim Rodshtein.
Yes.
Because I think it's also very instructive for our viewers to see how the game unfolds. Because we can optically see that white has space advantage, better pieces, but very often our hand, starts to shake here. So it's very instructive for us to see, okay, where the mistakes were made, what was the final plan. So let's have a look.
And actually, I love the way Maxim handled this position. Instead of starting calculating, especially given the fact that both players were very short on time, when you start some concrete lines, you make it much easier for your opponent to defend
because he is maybe prepared.
Yes, and he needs to calculate some concrete lines, and he just reacts. But now, when you make those slowish moves,
I actually didn't expect king h2 at all. You see, like my nature pushes me to play h5 or knight g3, h5, but king h2 came as a surprise to me.
Exactly, and this is a very shrewd way to play this. And rook e7 and then knight g3, as you wanted, right? Not forcing the matters, not even h5 first, because keeping the options, right? I can play. You guess.
Yes.
You're white. You're black. You need to guess.
But look at this. After h6, actually king g1 h1 was played, because I think that h6 was a clever move. Because he is sort of anticipating h5, and if you take now, queen h6 is in on a very active position. So king h2, and then recognizing that the position has changed after
so
h6.
you lured your opponent to play h6, and basically he did what you wanted him to do. King goes back, and now the h file is opened for white and not for black, for the simple reason that white has so much more space on the king side. It will be so much easier for white to regroup than for black.
And he played queen h8 here with the idea to to bring another rook on the h file. By the way, Alik, you know that I wanted also maybe to mention to our audience, because since Ori just played queen h8 with the idea of playing rook h7, so it's a battery, yes, in chess. But if you move another rook, let's just make something like, no, let's just continue, queen h8, yes. Let's just make a move for white, whatever move, yes, rook h8, and then another move, and let's say take the rook on f8 and put it on h6. So this is no longer a battery actually, but in chess lexicon, this is called Alekhin's gun.
Oh,
yes,
really?
that's what I wanted.
I didn't know that.
And I find it so beautiful, and actually also it's a powerful, way of naming things, because you have so many threats when you manage to triple, something on, like your two rooks and the queen on h8. So you might actually, maybe Ori was inspired by something like this, but here he doesn't have the possibility, to triple everything on the h8.
Actually, he could have, had he been given the opportunity, right?
Yes, but maybe rook f7, rook h7.
Maybe that was something that he wanted to achieve, but unfortunately, like in many ways, that for those long plans, the blunder came on the very first move.
Takes d5 is
he just took the queen took her eyes off the rook on e7, and this allows ed5, and now the whole position just falls apart. And d6, another precise move, hitting both the bishop and the rook. And now black is simply going to lose too much material. He will be left just a whole rook down, and thus he resigned. So and it should be said that queen h5, queen h5 doesn't work. Queen h1, sorry, it doesn't work because of knight takes.
Those tricky knights, yes. So Maxim Rodshtein has bounced back in style because he lost his first game. What a way also to get back in the tournament. So his head is working. Absolutely. Let's have a look maybe at the standings.
If we have the standings, that would be fantastic.
Yes. So after 2 rounds, the perfect score belongs to 2 players, Arseniy Nesterov and Peter Svidler. So they have 2 out of 2. And then we have, I think, only 2 players, 1.5 out of 2. And those are Indian players. Indian legend Vishy Anand and Indian top player, and actually the top seed in this event, Arjun Erigaisi, with 1.5 out of 2. So a lot of players in the pack, yes, if we're using the cycling, yes, terminology. And we are about to go in a short break once again. So please have in mind that today we have only 3 rounds. And this round robin is sort of, if now I use the musical, terminology, a prelude, because 4 players have to qualify for the final stage. We will have the semifinals and the finals. So today they will play 3 games, tomorrow 4 games, and the day after tomorrow another 4 games, which will conclude this round robin. And from the next stage we will have a knockout. So I hope that you are rooting for your players. So who is your favorite, by the way?
Oh, I was actually asked who I thought was the favorite. I picked Peter Svidler, and I'm sticking with it. I like not to jinx anyway. So
I'm not. Insider's information.
I don't want to jinx anything.
It's easy, of course. So who is playing who in the 3rd round? We have Vladimir Fedoseev against Arjun
Oh, we
Then-
have the clash of the leaders.
Yes.
Svidler against Nesterov.
Yes.
And,
We
Peter
couldn't
will
have written it better.
Absolutely.
Yes,
This is
for the last round of the day. So please stay tuned. We will have a short break and we will come back for the final round of today. Dear chess friends, welcome to Jerusalem Chess Masters. My name is Almira Skripchenko, and I'm helped in this commentary by Grandmaster Alik Gershon. Alik, you're going to be here every day, yes? You're not,
Hopefully.
Yes, I hope so. So this tournament is organized in a historical setting in a very beautiful building, the Museum of Tolerance, featuring 12 of the best players in the world and is 12 combined field with the best Israeli players, Alik. And today we will have the third round, and this will be the final round of the day. But this is a round-robin event which will determine which 4 players will qualify for the final stage of the event. So once again, I told it already before, so doesn't matter how many tournaments you won before, even the 5-time world champion Vishy Anand has to qualify.
Absolutely, everybody has to qualify, and no extra points for previous achievements, right?
Of course. So, like, we live in such an era that, you know, a lot of things are easily forgotten. Yes, you have to prove yourself every time. And at the same time, it's also beautiful because every tournament is a new opportunity. Yes, so we have 2 players on a perfect score, and we couldn't have written a better scenario. They are facing each other in this third round, Peter Svidler and Arseniy Nesterov. So, Peter, we've been told he won 8 times, yes, the Russian championship, and Arseniy Nesterov is actually the reigning Russian champion. So, will be this a passage of generations, yes? What do you think?
I don't think Peter is ready to pass the torch yet, but definitely Arseniy is showing his skills for the past week, winning the Open very convincingly. And now with the first 2 rounds, perfect score after the first 2 rounds. But now he will, I think it's a tough test for him, playing black against Svidler, who is obviously in a good shape today as well. And this is our key match for this round. Just let's name the other pairings. We have Vladimir Fedoseev playing against Arjun Erigaisi, Evgeny Alekseev against Yahli Sokolovsky, Peter Svidler, Arseniy Nesterov. Ori Kobo is playing against Ido Gorshtein, Vishy Anand against Maxim Rodshtein, also an interesting matchup. And Nepomniachtchi will face Avital Boruchovsky.
And as you can see, this is a rapid event. So the time control used in this event is 15 minutes plus 5 seconds per move, which is what we call an increment. Yes, so let's say if you will end up with an extra queen, you're not going to lose the game. Yes, you will manage, you know, to make all the moves and to convert your advantage. So Peter decided to play knight f3, which is
often meaning that there are many more many things that we don't see.
Yes, so it's actually disguising a lot of possibilities and avoiding a few lines. Yes, for example, if you want to avoid the Grundfeld, which Peter knows very well, so knight f3 is a good first move. And then I thought maybe he's going for the King's Indian attack, but he decided to play c4 against d5, so provoking e6.
Yes. But it seems that Arseniy is not surprised by this move order, and he blitzed out his first moves. And Peter played just d3.
And if you're joining us right now, let's remind our viewers that Arseniy Nesterov has qualified for this event through the Open tournament. So did Evgeny Alekseev, but their tournament trajectory is so different so far. Arseniy Nesterov started with 2 wins and Evgeny Alekseev with 2 losses. You know, so, but as we know, like everything is at stake here. You have to qualify for the first 4. Otherwise, you are...
and it also has to be said that the tournament is long enough.
Of course.
We still have 9 rounds to go, and especially in rapid games when things can change very fast. You hit one bad game, you lose track, you lose your rhythm, you can lose many games in a row. And on the other hand, you can also win many games in a row. So everything, even those that started with 0 out of 2, still are very much in contention. And we can see that Peter...
He's probably the only player who is, walking around during a rapid game.
Yes.
And I know Peter for so many years. I will not mention it, but since he is a kid, because we are from the same generation, yes, and he was circling around tables all the time. So like this is his nature, and actually I can understand it very well because it was very difficult for me also to wait for the move of my opponent because, it's like you need to evacuate this pressure. And let's see, because Arseniy decided to play c5, and Peter immediately jumped to e5.
Yes.
So what can we say about this opening? Why actually Peter decided to play c4 and define the structure? He didn't want to go for the King's Indian with the reversed colors.
It's hard to say what was the reason. Oftentimes, White starts knight f3 with the idea to play c4 eventually. So I'm not even trying to guess here. I assume there were some preparation that is not visible to us.
And actually, I think that we've seen this position already in the World Cup. Yes, this happened between Yesipenko and Erigaisi, or not? No, it was
for the third place. Yes.
Who was his opponent? Yakuboyev. Yes, Yakuboyev. Yes, I apologize. And I think that Yesipenko won a very interesting game, but this being said, his opponent needed to win. So,
it
was a different, yes,
both players
context.
Are probably well aware of this game, and maybe Peter has some ideas in this line, judging by how confidently, looking at the body language also, and how confidently he went into this line.
He looks like absent-minded, but this is just an optical illusion. He's like sort of looking at another boards, but he has everything under control.
Absolutely.
And this game is developing rather slowly, so maybe let's jump to the game, to our next game. Quickly have a look at the game between Evgeny Alekseev and Yahli Sokolovsky. Yahli blundered. No, I mean the previous game. No. Yes, of course. And so it's not easy for him to gain his composure.
Yes.
Because the specifics of chess tournaments is actually that you have to fight after a loss. You're not eliminated. This, of course, gives you the opportunity to win the event, but at the same time, psychologically, it's a very difficult task. So we're still in the opening phase, 13 minutes for both players, and Yahli is still thinking maybe he can play queen e7 here or knight h5. There are a few options. Yes. So let's move to the game between Vladimir Fedoseev and Arjun Erigaisi. How about this structure? Okay, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
knight on a3, the pawn is not on d6, modern
what
chess.
Happened, this is modern chess. This is the Ruy Lopez. It's one of the latest lines. I have to admit I'm not entirely familiar with this.
I'm afraid to ask what happens if you take on e5, but okay, this is...
this is exactly what is going on.
This is the theoretical discussion. But so
let's
because let's see here what I noticed is if you take on e5, you take, and then you can take bishop a7 and rook a7. This.
Yes, it's a bit ugly. Yeah?
Yes.
And that's exactly what happens. Fedoseev took, Arjun took back, and now White has the choice of: do we want to exchange the queens? Probably not.
The thing is, we have the pawn majority, so an extra pawn on the king side, and if you will manage to establish this powerful center like f4 and e5 and then knight e4.
Yeah.
We've seen this. This can be very dangerous. However, I think that black is pinning his hopes on the awkward knight on a3 for the moment. So yes, we have the rook on a7, but the knight on a3 is misplaced for the moment, so we need to reroute it. Yes.
Yeah.
Do we play knight c4, knight e3, knight c2, knight e3? Yes.
d4 maybe another idea, and this is
But I also was looking
Vladimir
at queen
goes for knight
d2.
c4.
I was looking at queen d2 and f4, you know, so maybe that was also a possibility. Who knows?
That's also an
I
interesting
wanted
idea,
to play
actually,
f4
yes.
here.
Agreed.
Okay.
But Vladimir, Fedoseev goes for the more concrete line, and asking the queen, where do you want to go? Because maybe we want to just, if you're going away passively, then maybe even just e5 immediately, or still f4. Yes, we want to prepare first.
I agree with you. Queen b5 was actually
Queen
played
b5 is
because I think, Alik, that one of the keys to understanding this position is also that because of this pawn majority, maybe white wants to trade queens.
Yes,
And black
that's why
needs
I
to,
thought.
yes.
That's why
Black needs to,
I
yes.
wanted to ask whether white wants to play queen d4 here,
Also.
forcing an exchange. But I don't think that white wants to move the pawn from
Yes,
c3
here.
to d4 because it will make the undoubling for black much easier. So this is probably one of the main reasons why didn't go there.
Okay, b3, protecting the knight and also the pawn on b2. Yes, so and bishop b6 was played. But now where should we go here? Because if knight e3, then
Knight-
simply rook a8 and then bring in the rook to d8 and black is fine.
Yeah, but knight e3 is still such a natural move, I think, and
rook
even
E
your
improving the
idea f4 and queen maybe to f3. Am I already worse?
No,
or
but I
not
think
yet?
I cannot allow you to play f5. Maybe I should play f5 myself, but maybe also I
Well,
have...
but f5, if I play this, then
No, I think black is fine here. Rook d8, rook d3, rook and...
yeah, I would
I'm
prefer white
afraid
here.
that if I allow f5, but if you allow f5, let's just
Okay,
assume
what-
that
yeah.
you can allow. They'll play f5, f6, maybe. Who
Yeah,
knows?
otherwise, but maybe we can play f6 with black and bishop f7.
f6
something
is
like
also
this,
an option, and bishop
to
f7.
keep,
Yes, I
to keep
agree.
the position, something like that. Okay, interesting. Let's go.
Vishy Anand against Maxim Rodshtein. Let's just have a quick look at this position because it was a very quiet opening.
Let's go from
I
the
think
beginning.
that Maxim was threatening to
Roy
play the Berlin
Lopez,
defense,
yes.
and then that's why Vishy played
D3
d3.
anti-Berlin, and Vishy wants to goes for a long maneuvering game. Knight goes from f3 to c4 to put some pressure.
It's actually very interesting because why not knight bd2 and knight c3? I was always asking myself this question, but this illustrates this point. Yes,
idea,
because
yes,
you
the-
can keep the d2 square for the knight, so you play bishop b3 with the tempo. You're not afraid that black will take on f3 because then this pawn is actually protecting, guarding the f4 and d4 square. And
Yes.
one of the main lines here for black is to reroute the knight to d4. So knight f8, knight e6, knight d4.
Exactly.
So, and this is no
now
longer
if-
possible. Mhm.
just like
And
making
here,
a move,
you
and
know,
the knight just goes nowhere here.
Yes, so that's why black has to retreat, and it is considered that d6 is one of the most natural squares, and then you also play c5, not allowing white to play d4.
But white had another idea here to play
Mm-hmm.
f4. And to get this kind of...
You know, the thing is, I was looking at those structures myself a little bit, and in order to equalize completely here, if white plays f4, very often black needed to play f5. Here, okay, it was not possible. Vishy decided to play d4. And I'm thinking, what should black do here? Should black play d5?
Well, yeah,
Because
definitely
D5
we
is a
don't want to
threat,
allow
yes.
d5. But we have a couple of ways to stop that, right? Queen b6 is one way.
Yes, queen b6 as well.
Both pinning and attacking. But
Vishy,
this might be...
look at Vishy. He's looking very confident, but
Yes.
somehow it seems that he's trying, to remember. Maybe he's familiar with this
It should be
line,
said that
yes.
Vishy is a semi-active player or semi-retired, how you would say that. So, and it's extremely incredible that he, as you said, he needs to be in touch with chess with all the openings because he teaches. But he also has very keen interest in everything that goes on in the world of chess. He follows all the games. You can see him tweet live oftentimes during the events.
And when I was commentating the World Cup, we were so lucky to have him with us during the All Indian final. His eyes were sparkling, whenever the position became interesting. So he immediately spotted all the ideas. So, but he's also acting not only as a wonderful chess ambassador, but also as a FIDE deputy president. I think so. Those are immense responsibilities. I am truly amazed, how can you do
true love for the
yes.
game. This is
So
how
you
you
see
do.
D5
So
was
D5
played.
was played and E5. So Vishy closes his own bishop, but doing that, it also restricts the black's light square bishop and gaining some space advantage, right?
But I thought that
how do we
D5
place
was
our pieces?
natural, actually, because you have the opposite color bishops, and the pawn on D6 is the weak pawn. Of course, that's why black wants to push D5 and to define the light squares for the bishop. Maybe you can also play knight E7, knight E5 if necessary. So queen G5 now is possible. Yes, and you want to define the structure in the center, yes, to go for something less muddy.
Yes.
If I might say so. What can you do here? Queen f3?
Yeah, I'm considering. Actually, I like queen on
Queen
d3
d3
somehow.
Yes. Queen d3 maybe is the
I cannot even explain why, but it feels more natural to keep the f file a bit open.
Maybe queen f3 simply allows knight h4 with
knight
the tempo.
h4 with the
I
tempo
don't
is
know,
also an
because,
idea.
and queen d3 is a more flexible.
And maybe you still want to play knight h4. As you said, to move it to f5 or maybe even bishop f5.
But then maybe I can double my
but
rooks.
you see, but Vishy disagrees. He plays queen f3. He plays your move.
Thank you, Vishy. But then let's see.
And
but what happens? Maybe there is
maybe he
a
wants
trick.
to. I was thinking, do we want to swap the queens here?
No, like I was not
No,
sure. Yes, I think.
We are more inclined maybe to swap this one.
Are we going for a Lochin gun? Yes, we are tripling on, but we have to be careful with the. So maybe knight e2, but then bishop g4. It's an interesting.
Is it the end of the line?
No, I think maybe you're right.
Queen f7.
Yes.
We're blundering queen
Queen
f7.
f7. Yes. No, but I think you're right. But maybe. Yes,
This is
knight
actually not
no,
very...
knight e2 allows queen e4. I'm afraid this.
Queen
no.
e4?
Yes. Maybe I don't want to trade queens here.
Actually, I'm not sure.
And then I will play c5 if you will play c3.
But
I will try
what
to
happens if I
unbalance the
just...
position.
Or maybe go knight c3. Sorry. I broke.
No, but I think you're right. You can take on h4, and then simply maybe to protect the pawn. Let's say queen e3, you're losing another tempo, but then you will go rook
And then
f4
you want to play
and
rook f4.
f1.
Also
my
nice,
idea,
yeah.
yes, is to double on the f file, and
my feeling is the knight has much more prospects than the
and
bishop.
when you will play c5 here, I think, if there is a chance, c5, d4, even though I think it's not winning,
Now
but yes, to
it's,
unbalance the position, yes, you can play rook
that.
f4 or even knight e2, so...
Yeah, it looks like... But what did Maxim play? He didn't go... Oh, it's still...
We have
Maxim played rook f8. Interesting. Actually, one of the reasons
I
why...
like this move.
Yeah.
He wants to... We know that f6 is a standard play here, but it means that you have to recognize that the rook is no longer useful on e8. This is wonderful prophylactic thinking. It's, I like this
Very
example
classy
very
move.
much.
Very
It's a
classy
very
move.
classy move. The rook on e8 is no longer active. Rook f8 with the idea to play f6, but also bringing the other rook into play. So maybe the other rook we will go to e8, protecting the bishop first on e6, and then who knows,
Yeah.
maybe f6 as well. I like this. Rook
Okay,
f8.
and it looks like black is doing all right for now.
Alik, look at the position between Yan Nepomniachtchi and Avital Boruchovsky. I have a feeling that something went wrong.
Oh,
Look at this.
oh, whoa.
What was the opening, first of all?
It was
Bishop
the
b5.
Sicilian.
Yes.
Which,
And you're telling me that this is a quiet, solid opening.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
bishop
what they
b5,
say, but
what happened?
G5.
Oh,
Avital, look at this. Avital, he doesn't, he's not shying from playing very aggressively against both Vishy and Jan. He starts pushing from the very beginning. G5, G4.
G5 is a powerful idea which was found a few years ago in Bishop b5 Sicilian and in many positions, by the way. So, of course, Avital, who is very well prepared, he is aware that this move is a powerful alternative to the positional
Yeah,
moves.
yeah.
Yes, so if you want to like to shake up your opponent, G5 is the way to go. But then let's have a look. You have to be very
We
precise.
opened the, it looks like we weakened White's queen a lot, but in fact it's not so so clear because we have, as black, we have also weakened a lot of squares on the king side, right? And the king will feel itself very well on h1.
And
but let's jump
What I wanted
forward.
to say,
Yeah.
and it seemed, it feels, and we know this. So Avital has done everything right. So he has traded the dark square bishops. Yes, so he opened the G file. So he got rid of this worst
Basically,
piece,
the dream, right?
the dream
is-
position. So what went wrong?
Let's see.
Let's have a look. So, queen h4.
h4, and the bar says that White is very. So basically,
After knight e7 is a bad move.
the computer says that
so-
White's game on the queen side is stronger than Black's on the queen side, on the king side. Sorry, and look at this, and knight e7 just before.
And white is just in time because you need the second rook on the G file, you know, and
8, you took, and okay, and this
Don't
is
have time, knight
just an
d6.
exchange up already, and another pawn is pushing. And now look at this very practical way. Let's trade queens
to
because-
neutralize
to
Black's
neutralize any
initiative.
initiative that you might have, and this is just an exchange up, technically a winning position for White. Still, you need to be a little bit precise, but really not much for a player of Jan's caliber. It just grabs another pawn. There's really not much Black is threatening here.
Actually, I was trying to understand because I'm so curious. Once a chess player, always a chess player. So, how to proceed in this position? So, after let's say
So you
bishop
want to
c1, queen c1,
take us
just in
back?
case, because this is of course is completely winning. So let's see here. We have established that something went wrong around here, and Black needs either to castle, either to overprotect the pawn on d6. So what can we do here? Was rook g6 a mistake? Queen h4, because it was
It
all
looks
these
so,
moves
it's
were
so
aggressive,
natural,
but
yes?
maybe pseudo-aggressive.
Pseudo-aggressive.
Yes. So
What
maybe-
about b5 here? Is it something we can think about? Or is it, again, pseudo-aggressive?
Yes, let's. But then, if you take, how can you take here?
Yeah, I want
Then-
to take.
Mhm.
So I will be, I understand that I will be tied up here. But on the other end,
Yes, but then you cannot castle long. Yes, then maybe after
yeah, I
knight
cannot castle long,
e3,
yeah, but
Rook g6.
but now
yes,
I'm
the same
not,
thing.
the knight is taking
And queen
the place
h4.
of the rook, but maybe it's nothing. Maybe we have just knight f5, something.
Yes,
like
and
that.
you have the rook and knight pinned. You know, I'm
Oh,
not
but this
sure
is
what
losing.
we
Look at
have
this.
achieved.
We just blunder something. Why is this losing? Oh, because we just take on f2
Queen
and
f2.
this is game over. So we still need
Maybe
to
we
be
can
careful.
make like a careful move, queen d2.
But then
But
queen
no,
e4
then you're taking. No, then you can take on h3 and queen
or
e4.
on
No,
h3.
no, wait a
Yeah, so
second.
this is tricky.
Yes.
Although the computer likes it for white.
So he's giving up the h3
He's just
pawn.
giving up the pawn, and it doesn't
And the pawn on e4 he's
mind
given
it
as
at all.
well, yes? So it's like, this is how strong white's
Yeah.
position is. But this is
This is
not
very
obvious
interesting.
for me.
Not obvious at all. Yeah, it has to be said. And now, so if I quad the computer, just plays f3 very calmly, probably protecting g2 with the queen, so the knight
And
can
knight
go to
f5,
f5.
but let's say knight e7, just guarding the f5 square, so it's a long-term advantage. I think he wants to win the knight on a7.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants to play rook a6 and rook a1.
Maybe something
no?
like this. Maybe
Because I
it
think
looks
that,
like this.
but
yeah.
then maybe I can still play knight c8 and keep this knight alive. But then knight f5, of course.
Yes, and you will be, for this pawn, you will be tied up, and I just do
And knight
whatever I
f-
want.
Yes.
Okay,
So-
so let's go back to the game, and Jan is just pushing to the end zone, basically. So,
Have we seen the game
Let's-
between
Kobo
yes,
Gorshtein, right?
yes.
Okay, we
Ori
haven't
Kobo
seen
against Ido
white
Gorshtein.
is a pawn up, but it's a very dryish pawn up. Although we still have the rooks, of course, if we didn't have the rooks, it would be a dead draw. But even with the rooks, because black can always offer an exchange on the e-file, it's very hard to see how white progresses.
Yes, you can play rook 8 and always play f6, king
Exactly.
f7.
So
Yes,
rook
bring
e8,
the-
if we exchange, this is just a draw. If we keep the rooks, then we play something like bishop d5 and rook e2. But Ido didn't even play rook e8 yet.
He played
just,
f6
as you said,
immediately.
f6 immediately. King f7 will go, yes.
and
Not
king
much
f2.
happening, yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
go back to our leaders.
Yes, our
Svidler. And
leaders
Svidler has a huge time
against-
advantage.
So how many minutes?
7 versus 1.5 minutes.
But at the same time, I think that Arseniy Nesterov, just looking at the structure, I think that he's fine.
Yeah,
It's like it was
structure-wise,
very
he's
important
fine.
on the previous move because Peter Svidler played queen f3, and because Arseniy wanted to reroute the knight, yes, so he is taking away the square c6. So that's
Yes,
why
very
actually
important.
Peter played queen f3, knight c6, knight d4, and then rook d7.
And now somehow rook d7 looks like a mistake. Black should have played here f5,
F5.
capturing some space.
But it's not easy to make, yes?
It's not easy. It's very committing move.
such
But
moves.
for instance, if we take on f6, then it's kind of clear that we want to exchange those bishops, and then the d4 square is.
And he goes for it now. So g4,
So g4 was
provoking
played,
black to play f5.
and black played f5.
But here, however, white has a choice of taking on f5. You know, so
Yes.
this is a difference. So g takes f5. And I agree with you. If e takes f6, then we're remaining with the knight on b8 against the bishop on g2.
Yes.
And maybe in a long term, this
I
knight
would take
yes,
black
is a
here,
bit
yeah?
better. Yes, would be a bit better.
After f5.
But what if
we
you take and king h1, rook
Take
g1?
and king h1. That makes a lot of sense, yeah. Basically, we're saying we are going to play this, use our space advantage on the queen side, on the king side, and in the center to claim that we can create
Maybe
a better
then
game here.
King h8, and we have queen h5 also, you know. So I wanted to say this is
So you
anyone's
can-
game, yes,
and
but
yeah.
maybe White's initiative is developing quicker.
It looks like that, although, and by the way, Almira, with the
rook
king on
d3.
h8, we need to be aware of
Bishop
ideas
d5
like
and
bishop
e6.
d5 and e6, right? Because of this bishop that can suddenly come into life.
But maybe then we should protect the pawn on d3,
Yeah,
or be more precise. King
maybe
h1,
we can
rook
even
g1.
play king h1 immediately. Yes. just keeping the tension.
But then I wanted maybe to sacrifice the exchange on f5. Maybe I can take.
Petrosianian.
Yes, and then something like this. If you'll play bishop e4,
And just
and
leave
maybe
it
just
there,
leave
yes,
it, and this will be a
something like
sound
this.
sacrifice. This what I'm not sure, because I'm forced to take with the e pawn, but then
But just as an idea, yes, Petrosian used to do
Yes.
things like that. Here, probably we are not in time, yes, something like this. If white manages to push e6 immediately.
But
or
how does the computer evaluate this position? I'm wondering.
Actually, obviously, queen e2 is a mistake, and it's a 0-0 according to the computer.
So you see, so this sacrifice.
But here, white could have
Still exists.
apparently could have gotten an advantage with queen g2.
Okay.
For whatever reason it is, we will not dive too deeply into it. So Peter is thinking now, yes? Yes, so he's considering. But it's not an easy position to play for black with the minute on the clock, or slightly over a minute. Any position is not easy to play with a minute, but this one especially. I mean, white has the initiative.
What could be the alternative for white if you're not taking king h1? Then should you play rook d1? But then the a4 pawn is not protected. Maybe I can go for it. Queen a5. So, what is Peter thinking about?
Yeah, this is
here?
interesting. Why he's taking so? Because he's an extremely practical player. He wouldn't think if there is no need to think.
So I was thinking about rook a d1.
But then you're
To
right.
make a
Then
useful
this
move.
is rook a1. This is the pawn is suddenly hanging, right? We can even start.
If you can allow yourself to make this move,
Can
yes,
I?
of course. Maybe, let's see, queen a5. Then maybe then we can sacrifice it and to go for it. Yes, take
You
on
just
f5,
take,
yes,
G
king
takes,
h1.
then king h1.
But Peter goes,
Peter
for,
goes
for
to
the most
immediately
concrete
to
line.
take, and now I was expecting him to
So we were looking at king
make
h1.
a faster move, but king h1. Okay, so will king h8 follow, or how does Arseniy? Yeah, king h8 played.
Every day I'm shuffling, you know. Arseniy was shuffling the pieces. It amazes me. Like, my hands are shaking, you know, when I'm down to 1 minute, but those players, they manage to create masterpieces with less than 1 minute on the clock, and king h8 is on the board. So we were actually thinking that this move is a prophylactic move. So of course you need to get away your king from the g file, rook g1, rook g8.
And rook g8, according to the computer, is a blunder.
But we've said that we wanted to play queen h5
Queen
and
h5,
bishop
and I
d5.
think this
So
is
maybe
exactly
this is the idea, yes?
the reason. In
Peter
rook d3, I
goes
think
for it.
bishop d5 is winning. Yeah, that's what the computer says. And Peter went for queen h5, and you can look at the bar. The bar jumps into 2 pawns up for white, which is a huge advantage. Although for such a sharp position for the players, it's not so easy. But now, this idea of bishop g5, bishop d5 is really asking for it. And I would actually argue, do we even want to maybe play queen takes f5? Is this a move?
I'm afraid, yes, maybe you need to play
But for
bishop-
instance, if you play something like
Yes.
this, is this
Yes,
even
maybe queen
an
f5,
idea
yes. And
to
then,
take here?
no, this
Oh,
is,
you don't take on
No.
d7,
maybe you
but
can.
we want to play bishop d5.
No, but you need to prepare it.
We
It's-
need to prepare for
Yes,
it, yeah.
I think black has to play bishop f8 first of all to parry all those threats. So you will have bishop g7. Just
He
in
did it.
case.
He played it.
Okay,
He
bishop
played
f8.
bishop f8, but now bishop d5. It's extremely strong. What do you do? And Peter, this is his bread and butter. These positions, these sharp positions. Bishop d5 on the board in just a few seconds, and this
Takes
is
g5.
looking crushing.
So e6, I think he wants to play d4.
E6,
Yes, d4. So
d4.
that's why Peter took on g8. So let's see.
But even after d4, we can take on d7. This is just mate.
Bishop, queen c6.
Queen
mate,
c6
yes.
makes, sorry. Okay, so
No,
we
no.
need to first take on g6, on g8, sorry.
Yes, and that's why Peter took.
And
yes.
now do we take on e7?
Yes, you can.
D4 on the board, yeah. So look, Arseniy is... What? Ah, okay.
No, no, no.
Okay,
Yes, we
he
have
already-
exactly.
okay,
Yes, of
we
course.
have
Because
exactly
he
this.
first took on g8 and played d4, so queen c6.
So this is the board, and now the king will go to f2. Rook will join from from g1. But now this bishop on b2 is a bit awkward, right? Although white still has an enormous.
The thing is, yes,
oh,
the
queen d5. Yeah, the
queen
queens
on
are going to
f5, yes,
change.
is protecting everything. So it's.
But you need to be careful. So Peter didn't go for it, and I think for good reason, because queen d5 looks tempting, but then all of a sudden, positionally, you're not so great anymore, right? With this bishop, even though the queens are not on the board, then the pieces are so dominating here that it's not a big advantage. So Peter keeps. He went for exchanging the bad bishop for the good knight, and this is game over. And we have Peter Svidler.
Yes,
with
our
3 out of 3, our
leader,
sole
yes.
leader, and a very convincing victory here.
He just
Although he
defeated
will probably say that
Arseniy
he got
Nesterov.
lucky as always, but somehow if you're lucky for 45 years, then probably you know to play chess. So.
A few more of those, but okay. Then we have another result. Yan Nepomniachtchi won against Avital Boruchovsky. So let's move to the game between Vishy Anand and Maxim Rodshtein. I wanted to show you that even though Vishy has his king on f4, and it seems that black king is a bit misplaced on h5, but it's still equal, because even if your king goes to c7, the bishop on a6 protects everything.
And if the king goes to a5, the bishop will go to b5, and this is the dance that we'll have. So this is the draw, and well, actually they agreed on the draw.
Then we have Evgeny Alekseev and Yahli Sokolovsky.
Let's go.
The queens are still on the board, and the
and
position is very interesting.
Alekseev is putting up in...
Because I think that Yahli sacrificed a piece, and as you can see, the bishop, the dark square bishop on c1 might decide the game. I think maybe it was
But
something
actually
was sacrificed on g4 or on f4.
white is the one who's pressing even, so...
Yes, now of course, because but I wanted to see, was it on g4 and f4? Because very often black tries to create a very strong attack, and that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Yahli sacrificed knight f4.
Aha,
You
yes.
see here.
Actually, I remember Evgeny in the Open, he won some similar game. I don't recall who was his opponent. Also, the opponent sacrificed the piece, something like this, and Evgeny just defended and then came out victorious out of it.
But actually, Alik, I wanted to show you that even though I think that here white is having a very healthy extra piece, here there was a moment because Evgeny played the tricky move g3. So giving up the pawn on h3, so knight h3, and after king g2, black retreated the knight to g5, and apparently that was a very important mistake because he was forced to sacrifice. And here black had an option of striking in the center and playing d5.
Oh.
Can you imagine that after king g2, d5 was the only move to stay in the game? So I wanted to show it to you.
This is beautiful.
Maybe you can use it in your own games because as a theme. Because sometimes just leave the knight on h3, and as you can see, white won. But let's just show what could have happened after d5. So let's see. Because you cannot take on h3, because I will take,
just take on e4,
e4 and f5. But then what? Then d takes e5, maybe, yes, because d5 is undermining the knight on f5.
Yeah,
so
very
let's
important.
Say d takes e5, then simply knight takes e5. And once again, you cannot take on h3.
That's a very beautiful
And then
result.
if knight takes e5, but then I think that's why this line is a bit tricky, then d takes e4. Just let's show it on the board, knight e5 and d takes e4. And this is why sometimes we need,
Very
computers' help.
That's definitely a great result. But let's jump back to Fedoseev Erigaisi. Very decisive moments there. The computer says it's equal, but
Maybe
to a human it's anything but, yeah?
Yes, but then the king is going maybe to a3. So let's say check again.
Yes, if we check again, then we will go here and try
Yes,
to.
something like this. So
But
yes, but how? Maybe we should bring the king closer.
I would actually
Yes.
here on King B1, I would consider
What do you
going
do?
here maybe, yes?
King E4, and then if we push F6.
Rook F2, and now King D3,
No,
and,
now you
and now
you want to
suddenly
lose,
Black
yes.
is winning,
Yes.
yes?
Oh,
But what do you do?
this is such a tricky line.
And-
Because you cannot push G6 and you cannot put F7, and then I can play King C3 and threaten an
Yes.
mate. Oh, so
And
you're right.
Actually, Arjun did play King E3, but Rook D7, very important, not to allow the king here. But now Rook F2, and how do you push your pawns?
No, but this is a wonderful endgame. Rook D7 is
Rook
a
D7
very
is a very
important
important move. Rook D5, we are getting ready to push our pawn. 6-6, also important. Now you have to choose. You stay on the D file, obviously. And now C5 B4, yes?
Can I play Rook F4? No, I don't want to play.
You don't want to play C5?
I wanted to play Rook F4, attacking on G4 and attacking.
But then you can just take.
But then I'm taking. Yeah, I think it's a draw.
Yeah, but I think black wants to
You
win.
want to play for a win? Okay, let's concentrate
It's not me, it's Arjun.
on this.
But maybe this
Race.
is double-edged, yeah?
Yes, you have to be very precise here.
Let's see how they...
Any move can cost you a game. So
but he's not risking. Before he's not risking because he has the perpetual, yes?
yes, maybe they're going to repeat. But can you go B3 here? Let's push this line.
Well, basically, Vladimir says you don't have a perpetual because there is Rook D1, so
Maybe then you have to go B3.
you have to go B3.
But you can also use my move Rook F5
Now.
now. So you cannot play
That's
G6.
what Arjun does. Okay,
Maybe you can play G6.
Rook F5, but G6?
Oh, no, wait. Rook F5.
Nice. That's the point. So now you don't have Rook D1 because the pawn is now weakened.
Wonderful defense.
And,
So now, yes, you have to.
So, but he still goes
F6.
and goes back to G1. And Rook has to go back and G7, and this forces... How does White play here?
But you simply wait.
King
Yes, with the
C2?
king on C2, of course, and then
And how do you play with Black?
Black has to go maybe for the pawn, King F4, King F5, King F6.
Or
What do you
maybe
think?
just wait as well?
But do you want to win or do you want to make a draw? I'm not sure.
I'm
Yes,
not sure anymore.
What is the result we're looking for? And Arjun goes
Rook
first.
goes
Yes,
for
he
the
goes for
draw.
King F4. I think King.
No, you don't really want to win because you cannot move your Rook anymore.
So King F5, King E5.
King E5 to
so
keep
he wants
closer to the pawns. Yeah,
Then maybe Rook G5 check.
clearly that.
E2 first.
And both players are playing on seconds, as you can see on your screens. 3 seconds to Arjun. It's actually much easier to play with
Yes,
white than
actually,
with
I
black.
wanted to ask you why Black didn't push B3 earlier. You have such a powerful pass pawn, and then
Just
White
run with the...
yes has to give checks. And
Because
here
if the
we are.
king goes to B5, then it might be very tricky for white.
Okay, then we are going for Rook C5, Rook G7.
And now this is... But...
King closer,
King
yes, to the
E6.
pawns. Then King B3, King D5. Yes.
But it's still black needs to make a draw, yes. Arjun, King D5. This is, although the computer does say it's a draw, it's not, actually it's a draw even without the A6 pawn. But it's definitely on seconds, it's much easier to play with white than with black because you can make many mistakes and still not have it
And
drawn.
look at this. Arjun hesitated. First, he wanted to touch the rook, then the king.
Yeah,
It means that he's not
it's
sure.
not sure at
yes.
all. It's not easy to draw, and I would say that white has much higher chances of winning
Maybe
than
now
black
rook
drawing.
G1, so giving checks, yes, from the first rank. So check, King B7, check, and then if
And
you
then
play
king goes forward.
King C6, then maybe you can try and play Rook a7.
Rook a7, but even if if you win the pawn, it's still a theoretical draw. But again, theoretical draw is not a draw, right? You need to make the draw.
Yes,
And
but
it's not easy, and you can
check
see
once
you have
again.
10 seconds. Not easy to play at all. White. Okay, but
B1.
Arjun found a nice setup. King c2, maybe rook b4 now to threaten the pawn and go back.
No, I think you have to give up the a6 pawn, yes? So
Yes.
rook b4.
But Arjun played rook b4.
By the way, rook a6, king b7, rook b6, it's a draw, yes? Maybe we could, let's show it, maybe just for fun, because how about this?
Because the pawn is
Yes, in front
of the king, and we cannot win this game.
And so grandmasters, they know it. They have to evaluate this endgame in a split of the second.
Yes.
And okay, you have to refuse this line, yes. And
But
that's why Arjun played rook b4.
Rook b4, and now he put the rook behind the pawn, and now it seems like it will be an easy draw because we captured the pawn on c4, and we are just in time to win. But last trick.
No, but you can't play king b6. Why not king b6?
Arjun is
yes, I'm
hesitating.
hesitating
Yes.
myself. Yes, so and a draw is
And
agreed.
a draw agreed. Wow, that was not easy for Arjun, but he managed to hold this endgame.
But what an interesting rook endgame. So this concludes the third round of this event. We will bring you the results shortly. We have a sole leader after the 3 rounds, the one and only Peter Svidler.
Go,
But
Peter,
I
go,
think
yes.
That Vishy is
on 2.
on 2? Yes, because he was on 1.5. So let's
Vishy
just
is on
wait.
1.5, and Jan is on 2 as well, because he beat Avital Boruchovsky.
Yes, Jan is also on 2.
And
But
Evgeny Alekseev ended his losing streak by beating Yahli Sokolovsky.
Arjun Erigaisi is also on 2. So yes, let's have a look. We have
Peter with 3.
Peter with 3 points out
And
of
we
3.
have a field of 4 players with 2 points. We have Nepomniachtchi, we have Erigaisi, Arjun, Vishy Anand, and Arseniy Nesterov, who lost to Peter Svidler. On 2 points, we have Vladimir Fedoseev and Maxim Rodshtein on 1.5, and Ido Gorshtein also on 1.5 points. Ori Kobo with 1, and Avital Boruchovsky with 0.5 point, and Yahli Sokolovsky with 3 losses. A tough start for him, but hopefully things will get better for him in the next 2 days.
Alik, what another exciting day, I wanted to say, in the office. Yes, it is for us.
It is.
It is for the players as well, but for our audience, I hope that it was a very exciting day of chess. A lot of interesting ideas that we've seen, a few sacrifices and blunders, Alik, you know.
You cannot go with that,
Yes,
without them.
exactly.
Right?
So please stay tuned for tomorrow's day, because I think we have 4 rounds tomorrow.
Tomorrow we have 4, and then the day after tomorrow we'll also have 4 rounds.
And just to remind you that Jerusalem Masters is a round-robin event which is featuring 12 players at the start, but those 12 players are actually fighting to be in the top 4. So for 3 days, they will try to qualify for the final stage of this event, which will feature the semi-final matches and the final matches, all of those in a knockout system with a lot of tie breaks, I hope, and even maybe an Armageddon. Thank you so much for watching. We have live audience here, so that's why
It's vibrant.
Yes, it's vibrant. How do we call it? Balagan? Yes.
Balagan.
Balagan.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's a perfect illustration of a chess balagan. Thank you so much for watching, and see you tomorrow.